My older sister is convinced that I had a fling with her fiance back in the day before they got engaged. And now, in order for me to attend her wedding, she's demanding that I hand over my phone to her so that she can search through it to find the truth, even though I definitely never slept with the guy. But you know what? I've decided to deny her request, as I feel like this is a massive invasion of my privacy in a way I am not okay with, resulting in her freaking out and essentially making me the problem, even though I literally haven't done anything wrong. And right now, I don't know what to do. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk and don't forget to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Let's get started. Okay, so I have always been really close with my older sister. She's getting married in about a month to her fiance, who she has been with for like 4 years now. But before they met, I worked at the same company as him for almost 2 years, and we were friendly coworkers. We normally grabbed lunch with other colleagues and occasionally texted about work. Nothing really romantic ever happened between us, like honestly, it was very casual. Well, fast forward a year, and he and my sister meet through some mutual friends. When she found out we already knew each other, she laughed it off and even joked that I should tell her if he had any embarrassing stories from work. Well, everything was fine until a few weeks ago when she called me crying, saying she found old messages between him and me from years ago. In one of the messages, he told me, "Hey, I missed you today." And in another message, I said to him, "Hey, I wish you came to work today." And the reason for those messages were due to the fact that we usually help each other with different jobs at work, and we cover each other when we can. Besides that, we only talked about work, we shared memes, we had work gossip, and maybe one other conversation where he thanked me for helping him prepare for a presentation, which is something we usually do. Well, she then asked me if I ever had feelings for him, and I just blatantly said no, because genuinely I didn't, and I never saw him that way. Then she asked if I'd be willing to let her read through my old phone backups and social media messages, just to see the context for those messages for her peace of mind. Well, I laughed at her because I really thought she was joking, and I just thought, okay, well, better still, just go through his phone and not mine. And I started getting really annoyed when she kept insisting I allow her to go through my phone. She then said to me, "Well, if you have nothing to hide, then it shouldn't be a problem proving it," saying that her friend suggested the same thing, and that if we did this one thing, it would help avoid future drama before the wedding. But you know what? I refused immediately. Not because there's anything to find, but because I think it's an insane invasion of privacy. Well, apparently that made me look guilty in a way, but I just really wanted her to go through his phone instead and not mine. She still asked me though, "Hey, why won't you clear your name and just give it a rest?" And this pissed me off even more because she's literally focusing on the wrong person. And it's dude, what name do I have to clear? She told my mom about the whole thing, and her response was that I'm being too prideful over little issues. But seriously, the final straw was when my sister said that she didn't feel comfortable having me at the wedding unless I handed over my phone first so that we can sort this out once and for all. But it's why can't she just ask her fiance? Her response though was to say, "Well, I don't want him to think that I don't trust him." So you know what? I just told her I wouldn't be attending at all, and that she could just have the wedding that she wanted without me there. Because seriously, she can go through his phone and not mine. But with that in mind, am I really the jerk here? Should I just give in and let her have what she wants? Because I'm seriously pissed off and I don't know what to do. Okay, your sister's an idiot, because that really is the solution here, dude. What are we talking about? Why should you have to give up your privacy, all because she's reading way too much into, some text messages between the two of you from, years ago? Which is just crazy, dude. What are you talking about? We were co-workers. I barely talked to the guy outside of work. I'm literally only messaging him for work-related things. There's no other messages. There's no other crap. And also, if she really found old messages between the two of them, then hey, go to the fiance and be like, "Can I look through your phone?" It would be such an easy conversation. But instead, she's trying to pin this on you in some way and be like, "You're not welcome at my wedding. You need to prove that my fiance didn't cheat." And it's dude, you're skipping a whole step here. Just go to your fiance, dude. If he didn't cheat, then he should have no problem showing it, right? If he's not guilty, then he's got nothing to hide, right? Come on, the same argument you're using against the original poster can be pointed right back at your fiance. Man, your older sister is dumb. So no, you're not the jerk. I would absolutely stand my ground here. There's no reason I should have to hand over my phone, and the fact that she's trying to force you is insane. If you like Am I the Jerk, and I think you do, Mr. Krabs, first off, you need to subscribe, but also, you need to check out Am I the Genius next. They're that feeling you get when you walk in from outside and you're really hot, and it's oh my gosh, I don't want to go to the library today, why am I here? But then you get blasted with that AC and you're oh man, this is the best. That is what Am I the Genius has to offer. They've got that cool, refreshing feeling on a hot day when it's just dude, it's sweltering. And Am I the Genius comes in clutch and just saves the day. So please subscribe to them. You won't regret it. We love them, and I think you're gonna love love them too. Speaking of love, I want to give some love out to Pikachu Child because you said the EA Sports impression I did was good. And you know what? I appreciate you. Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun to do. It was kind of spur of the moment, and who knows, it might become a thing. I don't know. Also, before we go any further, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. I'm reading through those constantly, and I would love to hear what's going on in your life. And with that, let's get back to the video and on to the next story. Am I the jerk for no longer wanting to help my coworker get lunch, even though she's been paying me back for all the lunches that I get her for like the past month? Because right now I'm just sick of doing it, and honestly, it's such a hassle. And now after the fact, she's kind of pissed off at me and called me selfish for denying her request. And now I just don't know what to do. Okay, so I'm a 25-year-old female and I work in a small office with few coworkers, and most of us just bring lunch or order something nearby. Well, about a month ago, one of my colleagues asked if I could pick up lunch for her because I was already going out. And honestly, it wasn't really a big deal, so I just said yes. But guess what? Slowly, it became a daily thing. She messages me every morning asking if I was going out, and then sends me her order. She always paid me back, so money wasn't the issue. But eventually, it started to feel like this wasn't just a favor anymore, because now it was starting to feel like an expectation. There were even days where I wasn't planning to leave the office until she asked, and I'd end up going anyways because I felt bad saying no. Well, this week I decided I wanted to spend my lunch break relaxing instead of running errands. So this time, when she asked if I could get her lunch again, I told her I was not going out and that she should figure something else out. She then looked annoyed and said something like, "You've been doing it every day. I thought it would be no problem." But I just apologized and said, hey, I don't really want to spend my break doing that anymore. She ended up ordering her lunch, but later I overheard her telling another coworker that I was being selfish, all because I knew that she had gotten used to relying on me. Another coworker told me that I probably should have given her a heads up instead of just stopping out of nowhere, since I have been helping for so long. But on the other hand, others have said that I'm not obligated to keep doing it, and that she's an adult who can definitely take care of her own lunch. So now I'm kind of wondering if I handled it poorly. Like, I don't mind helping someone once in a while, but I also don't want to feel responsible for another person's lunch every workday just because I agreed to help at the beginning. So seriously, am I the jerk here? Because I don't really know if I made a mistake in how I handled it. I don't think you're the jerk personally. I think like there is maybe some expectation of like, hey, yeah, you're gonna get lunch from me, right? But also, dude, read the room, man. If you're doing this every single day, you gotta show some kind of gratitude and maybe like check in that she still wants to do it. Like, bro, at this point, it really does seem like, yeah, she's taking advantage of you and it's really annoying. Because even if she's paying you back, she's still taking away from your lunch break, which is just precious in the working world. Like, I remember when I worked at this crappy doctor's office and my God, my 30-minute lunch break was precious, dude. Don't even bother me. I need that time to decompress and get through the rest of the day, dude. So the fact that your lunch break was essentially hijacked by her, like, that is so inappropriate and so weird. So no, you're not the jerk, even if she was expecting it in some way. And I think if anything, it was incredibly unprofessional for her to like start spreading all this around the office and be like, wow, I can't believe she did this. So if anyone's the jerk, it's your coworker and definitely not you. My boyfriend tried to get a waiter fired today after this waiter, who was clearly new, gave us the wrong check, as my boyfriend literally escalated this in a way that was humiliating me, which eventually led to me like leaving the restaurant altogether and just paying for my portion of things. But now my boyfriend's freaking out on me, saying that I humiliated him by walking out on our anniversary, and now I really don't know what to do because this has just gotten way out of control. Okay, so me and my boyfriend have been together for a little over 2 years, and overall our relationship has been good, which is why this situation really caught me off guard. Last weekend was our anniversary, so we booked a nice restaurant, and everything was going well until the bill came along. Basically, the waiter accidentally brought us someone else's check. It was obviously a mistake because it was almost twice as much as our meal, and the waiter realized this within like 30 seconds, apologized, and swapped it for the correct bill. And honestly, I thought that was the end of it. But instead, my boyfriend called the waiter back over and started lecturing him about how people like you never pay attention. And the waiter apologized again and said, "I'm sorry, I'm still new here." But my boyfriend wasn't done. He demanded to speak to the manager and insisted the waiter shouldn't be serving customers if he couldn't do something that simple. The manager then apologized and offered us a free dessert, but my boyfriend said that wasn't enough. He then asked if the waiter would be written up for this, because he wanted to know if there would be consequences. And at this point, the waiter looked like he was about to cry. He couldn't have been any older than like 19 years old. I then quietly told my boyfriend it was an honest mistake and that he was taking this way too far. But it's here that he snapped at me in front of everyone and said, "Stay way out of it. This is why businesses get away with terrible service. And my God, I was so embarrassed that I got up, I paid my half of the bill, and I left the restaurant. He then spent the rest of the night texting me, saying I humiliated him by walking out on our anniversary. And also, apparently his friends are split down the middle. Some of them think that I should have backed him up because customers deserve good service, and others think that his behavior was completely unnecessary, especially over a mistake that was corrected almost instantly. And now he's saying that the real issue isn't what happened at the restaurant. Instead, it's that I chose a stranger over my boyfriend. But I really just don't see it that way. I just couldn't sit there while someone was being publicly humiliated over a simple error. So am I the jerk? Like, did I overreact by walking out? I was really embarrassed, I didn't like it, and honestly, I just don't know what to do anymore. Okay, I've seen this before because I've worked in restaurants that are a little bit like classier, if you will. And there are some people that they go to these restaurants and they act like there's some big shot. Like seriously, they come in here, they're like, oh, this is a fine dining establishment. And they expect you to be some flawless individual as if you can't make any mistakes. And that's crazy in my opinion. And it's almost like they ham it up because they're spending like a good amount of money on like this restaurant and the food and like the experience. So they're trying to like pretend and like almost cosplay as some rich big deal. And I've seen that a few times. So this is really ringing true for me, since from the sounds of it, the original poster and the boyfriend are not some rich upper class people. They're just normal people who picked out a nice restaurant and said, yeah, let's go eat here for our anniversary or whatever. But the way your boyfriend is acting is such a big red flag, it's not even funny. He not only snapped at you in front of other people, but he's also literally trying to get this guy fired. Like, bro, what kind of power trip are you on? Like, if this is not a very glaring window into the way you're going to be treated if you ever marry this guy, then holy crap, I don't know what else would be, because this is so weird. So no, you're not the jerk. Like, this is a very revealing behavior trait that happily you found out before you got married or you progressed any further than this. Because if I was in your shoes, I would be dumping him and moving on with my life. I would not want that kind of energy in my life for a single second. My best friend gave me an ultimatum, saying that I need to stop supporting her ex-boyfriend or else we simply can't be friends anymore. But honestly, it's not that easy, as cutting this guy off and causing friction would cause a lot of problems for me at a social level. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. Okay, so I'm looking for some advice on how to navigate a difficult situation involving my best friend, who I will call Sarah, and her ex-boyfriend, who, for the sake of the story, I'll call Matthew. About 4 years ago, my boyfriend of 5 years became good friends and bandmates with Matthew. A year later, Matthew got hired at my workplace, and I ended up training him and we became close friends, because this job in particular was extremely stressful, and we basically bonded over complaining about it. In May of 2025, I left that job to work at a coffee shop, and I discovered Sarah worked there too. Sarah and I basically became incredibly close. We bonded over spirituality, we went to yoga weekly, and essentially we became best friends. During this time, Sarah and Matthew were off and on. She told me harrowing stories about him being emotionally awful, forcing her into anxiety attacks, and manipulating her, but she just kept going back. I sat with her through these feelings, but I knew that both parties played a part in the crazy relationship. Like, it literally takes two to tango in this situation. For other reasons, coincidentally, at the same time, my boyfriend and I distanced ourselves from Matthew, though my boyfriend still occasionally played music with him under strict boundaries that we personally placed. In spring of 2026, Matthew had an album release party for a project my boyfriend played on, and we decided to go just to be supportive of the musical project. Well, Sarah tracked my location. She saw that I was there and viewed my attendance as a direct betrayal. And according to her, this was a sign that I supported someone who mistreated her. After a brief period of silence, Sarah asked me to meet at a park. She explained that another mutual friend had completely cut Matthew off, and she realized that she needs that same level of loyalty from me. She basically told me that she cannot be my friend if I'm willing to be in the same room as him or even treat him cordially. I explained to her that I barely see him. He's barely in my life, even if that, just through my boyfriend, and I just want to remain civil rather than hostile. Now, it has been a few months now, and I feel completely stuck and anxious. I feel like a trapped animal. We share a massive circle of mutual friends, and completely shunning Matthew means causing massive friction in my own relationship, not to mention our broader social group as a whole. Now, I value Sarah deeply, but I'm struggling with the fact that she is demanding that I actively shun someone in order to meet some kind of condition of our friendship. So how do I communicate my boundaries to Sarah without making her feel unsupportive? How do I process the guilt of wanting to stay civil with an ex-partner who hurt my friend, while also protecting my own peace and social stability? What should I do? Okay, back up real quick. How in the world does she have your location, dude? Is this one of those situations where you share your location with your friends? Like, dude, please tell me that's not what's happening. If you're listening to this right now, please don't do this. That's such a stupid idea in my opinion. If I'm gonna share my location, which I just don't think is ever a good idea, I'm gonna do that with like my girlfriend maybe. Like, even then it's just kind of weird, dude. dude, I don't know. Her having your location like that, especially when she seems incredibly volatile, like that just doesn't seem like a good idea. But for me, when someone gives me an ultimatum that is completely irrational, that's kind of my cue to exit the friendship entirely and be like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be controlled like that. Because you've got it right, dude. This is going to affect you socially. If you just sit there and be like, I'm never going to talk to Matthew ever again, even though your boyfriend is still friends with him and you're in like this major, like expansive social group that kind of includes all of you, that just really seems over the top and very unfair. Like it seems like Sarah only wants you to join her side because she's miserable because she knows she can't be around Matthew at all. And yeah, what happened sucks, and I'm really sorry that happened. But like you said at the beginning, it takes two to tango, and I'm sure that Sarah is not at all innocent in this situation either. So for me, I would never get involved in the middle of this. Like this just absolutely screams drama that I don't want to be a part of. And if this really does end your friendship with Sarah, then so be it. She sounds like a drama queen to begin with, and I would not want that energy at all. My boss is essentially enabling daily wage theft at my expense. And now I'm kind of considering reporting all of this to human resources, but I don't know if this is a bad idea because right now this is really frustrating and I don't know what else to do. Here's basically how it's all going down. Okay, to start things off, I need a serious reality check before I blow up my relationship with my boss because this Monday things might go down. I'm an hourly employee in Ohio and I'm working a standard 40-hour work week. I work the night shift at a high security facility. Now, because of our strict site rules, I legally cannot leave my desk until my morning relief physically arrives. If I walk out early, it's considered post-abandonment and I could get fired. So for weeks now, the morning crew has been pulling a hustle. They use our mobile payroll app to clock in at the facility's outer security gate right on time. But then they drag their feet, they grab their coffee, and they take like 15 minutes to actually walk into the room and relieve me. And because I'm trapped at the desk waiting for them, I log out late every single morning. Now, here's the problem. Our company's payroll software automatically rounds my clock out time back to my scheduled end time. Like it literally deletes those extra 15 minutes of overtime from my paycheck every morning. Over the last month, it adds up to hours of unpaid work, which really should be hitting my check as overtime. When I brought the data logs to my supervisor, he gave me a lazy shrug and said, oh, it's automatic. I mean, the system just does that. But the part that absolutely burns me is that every single morning, he stands there smiling and handing out enthusiastic fist bumps to the day shift as they just stroll in late. He is actively letting them commit time card fraud while ignoring my wage theft just to be the cool boss and keep the morning crew happy. So would I be overreacting if I escalate this to corporate? Or am I completely justified for refusing to let my coworkers fraud as well as some glitchy application steal my overtime? Because right now I really don't know what to do. Okay, in my opinion, I don't think you would be like in the wrong for going to corporate about this, but I would be careful not to like attack your coworkers or your boss and really try to frame it as if like, oh yeah, the system's just really buggy and glitchy. It's not giving me my overtime like it's supposed to do. Like that would be way better of an angle than to be like, yeah, these people are committing time fraud. Like that, in my opinion, I would stay quiet about and let them do whatever you want. But if they're really going to try and take away your overtime, like dude, I would absolutely be pissed off. If I'm going to be expected to wait an extra 15 minutes every single morning after being up all night and I'm exhausted, then you better believe I'm going to expect some overtime pay. Are you kidding me? I'm not doing this for free. This is not a charity. And I'm definitely not going to take any kind of like, oh, this is just what the system does. Like, no, if it can automatically delete that, then it can automatically put it back. That's just like a settings change, dude. That is absolutely unacceptable. But again, I would not blame this on anybody. I would really just be like, yeah, the system's not being nice to me, so could you look into that? And then just let the cards fall where they may, because this is really not okay in my opinion. And if I was in your shoes, I would be complaining immediately about this. Am I the jerk for not answering my girlfriend's phone call while I was having dinner with family? Because my girlfriend literally freaked out and made this into a way bigger deal than it needs to be, even going as far as calling my mom behind my back just to complain about the fact that I didn't answer the phone right away, putting me in a situation where truly I don't know what to do. Okay, so my girlfriend and I are both 33 years old and we've been dating for just over like a year and a half. We're long distance as one of us is in the United States and the other's in Canada, but I will say we do see each other every month, so it's not a big deal. Plus, we talk and text pretty much every single day depending on our schedules. Now, I've always been very consistent in the relationship. I'm honest and transparent as she is with me. Well, about a week ago, I was having dinner with my family when my girlfriend called me. I texted her that I was having dinner with my family and I asked her if I could call her back. And in my head, I thought, okay, this is not that big of a deal, right? Well, an hour later, I tried calling her back and I got no response. I then left her a voicemail and I tried calling her back the next day, but again, I got no response. In fact, I tried again again the following day, but she sent me a text message that she couldn't talk at the moment, so I just left it at that. If she's not willing to communicate, then there's not much I can do about it. Well, yesterday evening, she apparently called my mom and told her that she was upset at me because I didn't answer her call while I was having dinner with my family. She then told my mom that if she ever calls during dinner, then she needs to pick up my call. My mom then called me about it, and I told her that I texted her and I called her back as promised, and my mom basically came to the conclusion that, yeah, this is not something you should be upset about for over a week. Now, honestly, I'm not even mad about this, but I don't like the silent treatment and like the passive aggressiveness. Like, as an adult, if there's an issue, just communicate directly about it. It makes me feel like it's either her way or the highway, and that's not how relationships work. So seriously, am I the jerk for really not answering the phone back? Like, is this crossing a line, or would this be crossing a line for you if this happened to you? Because I'm kind of speechless over this, and I really just don't know what to do. No, you're not the jerk. This is so mundane. Are you kidding me? You literally said, hey, I'll call you back after dinner with my family. Which, by the way, hey, guess what? That's exactly what you did. You called her back and you tried to get back in contact with her. She's trying to act like, oh, you didn't call me back. I can't believe you did that. But it's like, dude, I didn't do anything. Like, I literally tried to reach out, but you didn't answer. In fact, you ghosted me for a week. Like, what am I supposed to do? I can't read your mind. I can't, like, understand what's going through your head. Like, seriously, come on, man. Like, that's really unfair for me. And she called your mom, too. Like, dude, that is weird. That, in my opinion, dude, is a giant red flag. I'm sorry. But if you really can't communicate with me and instead feel the need to go to my mom about it, then holy crap, like something is wrong here. Like something really is not adding up. So yeah, this whole situation is stupid and overblown, and I think your girlfriend's being way too overdramatic. So no, you're not the jerk, and I think you didn't do anything wrong. Today, I caught my friends in the middle of a party having a quickie in my bedroom on my bed. And even though I kicked them out of my house and told them to leave, these people are now going around saying that I threw them out of my house for no reason, putting me in a situation that is not only disgusting, but also incredibly offensive. Because right now, I don't know what to do. Welcome back to Am I the Jerk? Dude, this is some crazy behavior we're about to witness. Like seriously, while you're listening to this, put yourself in the shoes of the original poster. How freaked out would you be if you caught your friends doing the dirty in the middle of a house party, dude? So have a seat, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get started. Okay, so for a bit of context, my friend group and I take turns hosting a game night, and we try to do it monthly, and this month it was my turn to host. I live in this apartment complex with street parking only that gets filled up really fast. So whenever people are coming to visit but can't find parking, there's a playground nearby with a large parking lot that people go to. And remember this little detail because this will be very important later on. I recently met a new friend who I will call Gabby at the bar through friends who've been coming to game nights for a few months, and these friends actually met Gabby a few weeks prior. For context, game night is about connection. We do not party in the traditional sense at game night. It's just card games and catching up, really. And we typically have from 5 up to 15 people depending on the night. We have cats we rescued recently who get really scared of new people, so we put them in the bedroom and close the door. The new friend has been really nice and sweet in like the 5 times we've hung out with her. And that's super important for what's about to happen next because this is where it all pops off. Now, I extended an invite to only her for game night, but when she showed up, she brought her boyfriend, who I will call Joe, who I've never met before. Well, to put it bluntly, Joe was immediately annoying. He started off not so great by throwing his shoes hard on the floor, which was right after I mentioned we have an elderly downstairs neighbor. Also, he was talking over Gabby and I a lot. And there's a lot more than this, but trust me, this is just like the tip of the iceberg. But despite this, and the fact that I didn't invite this guy, I decided not to make a scene and just give him a chance. Partway through playing Uno, Gabby gets up and says she's gonna use the bathroom. Then about 5 minutes later, during my turn, so I'm literally barely noticing what's going on, Joe gets up and goes down the hallway. Now, I assume he knows something about her that I don't, and maybe he needs to go check on her or something like that, so I just go back to playing. Now, maybe 10 minutes pass by, and honestly, I'm not really sure how long it was. It might have been longer, it might have been shorter. Someone eventually goes on to say, hey, where's Gabby and Joe? I finally realized that, yeah, they haven't joined us again. So someone goes to check on the patio, and I go check out the bathroom. The bathroom light is on, so I knock on the door and I don't get an answer. But that's when I hear something fall in my bedroom, and yes, dear listeners, this is where things get incredibly weird. Now, I assume it's the cats just being jerks and knocking crap over for fun, so I go in to check on them and pick up whatever they knocked over. But when I open the door, I don't see any cats anywhere. Instead, I see Joe's butt cheeks and Gabby on the bed. Now, of course, they're scrambling, so I close the door as fast as possible, but then I realize, wait a second, what is happening? happening? I then open the door again and I tell them to get dressed and leave. All my valuables and my cats are in my room, so I stayed in there and just looked away while they got dressed. Now, I will say there wasn't any crash out or yelling or anything like that, but people could tell there was something happening, but just not what was happening. I was helping them get their purse and shoes and making sure they left when Gabby says, "Wait a second, it's storming outside. It's gonna take us like 10 minutes to walk to our car at the playground." She then said, "Oh, we're so sorry. We were just a little drunk. We didn't realize it would be an issue." But my God, I was really upset. And with this, I just held the door open for them to leave and I said, "Please get home safe." It was a little awkward getting back into game night, but eventually we went back to normal and had a nice night. I didn't tell anyone what happened because I didn't want it to ruin the night. Now, I don't know what she told the group, but I have text messages from multiple people telling me I was being dramatic and hurtful and that apparently I shouldn't have kicked them out over something so small. So seriously, am I overreacting here? Is this like a common thing and I've just never encountered it ever in my life? It just felt gross and like my privacy was intruded on, and at this point I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, this is disgusting. Dude, if someone went into my bedroom when I'm having a party to have a quickie, I would lose my mind on them. Like, bro, no, this is not normal. This is not what you do at parties. What do you mean you didn't think this would be a big deal? That's a huge deal. I now need to light my bed on fire in the front yard just to like, I don't know, just to cleanse it of the sins that were committed just then. Like, what are we doing right now? "Sorry, we didn't think it was that big of a deal. We only did the dirty on your bed. I mean, what's the big deal here?" Oh, and also Gabby told the friend group that the original poster kicked them out because they didn't like Joe. Like, of course there was no mention of them going to the bedroom. There was no mention of the quickie. It was just that, "Oh, you were being so mean and you kicked them out in the middle of a storm." But it's like, bro, what is happening? This is some crazy talk. Because let's think about it for a second. Why would the original poster make this up? Why would they go in there and be like, "Oh my God, I literally need bleach for my eyeballs. What just happened?" No one expected to walk into their bedroom and see someone else on that bed doing what they were doing. So I know if I was a friend in this group and my friend was like, "Yeah, they were doing the dirty on my bed," I would have been like, "Holy crap, that's disgusting. You guys should be ashamed of yourself." And then I would cut contact with them and be like, "I don't want that happening at my place." Because what do you mean they thought this was going to be okay? I still can't get over that. I can't get over Gabby being like, "I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. Oops." Like, what are you talking about? That's crazy, dude. So no, you're not overreacting, dude. They needed to go. They need to get out of there and never be a part of this friend group ever again. Because this was toxic, disgusting, and you did not deserve that in the slightest. If you like Am I the Jerk and what we're doing over here, please check out Am I the Genius. It's going to be linked down below in the description. Just click and go ahead and subscribe to them. And also, if you have your own stories you want to submit, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you want to submit your own stories. We're reading them all the time and we're picking out the best ones, so trust me, we would love to hear what you have to say. My girlfriend hasn't contacted me in nearly a month and even told a friend of hers that she needed space from me before she could talk to me. And now I feel like I'm losing a relationship with my girlfriend and I seriously just don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. Okay, so my girlfriend and I are doing long distance right now while she is tree planting. And trust me, I understand that job can be intense. Bad service, long days, camping moves, exhaustion, injuries, and not much time or privacy to begin with. And I have really been trying to be understanding of that. But the last time we had a proper phone call was on May 6th. The call was good, like we didn't have a fight, we talked about next summer, and I mentioned maybe trying to work as a checker in the tree planting so we can actually be together. She then said that that probably wouldn't be likely because those jobs usually go to people still in the industry, and even then I might not be placed in her camp. And that was really disheartening, but the call itself was fine, and we ended it saying that we loved each other. Well, on May 8th, she texted me saying that a stick went through her foot. I asked her if she was okay, and she basically said it was fine, but ever since then I haven't heard from her directly. She had told me before that they were switching camps at around like May 12th, and that might be the next time I hear from her, but May 12th eventually came along, and guess what? That didn't happen either. Since then, she has had service at different points, and my messages have delivered. Like, she's been actively traveling through places with reception, and I still haven't even gotten like a quick, "Hey, I'm alive," or "I need space," or "Hey, I'll talk to you when I can" message. Then I reached out to one of her friends to ask if this was normal for tree planting, and her friend said that communication can be really bad during planting, and that she has barely heard from her either, but she has received a few Snapchats from her. The friend also mentioned that my girlfriend has been posting on her close friend's Instagram story, and I used to be able to see those stories, but now I can't. So it really seems like I was removed from that list. A couple days later, that same friend told me that she could call my girlfriend and ask how our long distance relationship was going in like a natural way. She said she would do it undercover and would not mention that I had been asking anything or or that I was involved. Well, she ended up calling her and then got back to me and said my girlfriend told her that she hasn't spoken to me in a little bit and just needs some space until she reaches out. The friend then told me to just hang in there. I know she meant well, but that really hit me hard. I've done long distance 3 other painful times. And in my experience, when someone says they need space, it has always been the beginning of the end. What is bothering me the most is that my girlfriend told someone else that she needed space, but never told me directly. I would have totally respected needing space if she had communicated that to me. Instead, I've been left not knowing where to stand. I've been sleeping badly, I've been eating badly, and stressing over this a lot. And I know that's my own responsibility to manage, but it has been really difficult not knowing if I'm still in a relationship or if she's just checked out and just hasn't told me yet. I also removed location sharing because I was checking way too much and it was just making me feel worse. There's also this storage unit situation that I need practical advice on. For reference, I had a storage unit in her hometown that I was paying for, but it was getting way too expensive. So I already cleared it out and moved everything to a unit closer to me. When I opened the unit, I found that she had put some of her things in there, including around $1,500 worth of ski gear and clothing. So right now I need advice on how to communicate about her belongings and to set clear pickup or shipping deadlines. I don't want to make a 10-hour drive to drop everything off at her dad's house, especially because I don't have his address and would need to ask for it. I also do not want to store her belongings indefinitely. My current plan is to wait until May 24th. If she still hasn't reached out to me directly by then, I'm planning to send one final message ending the relationship. And I need advice on how to word that message clearly and calmly, and how to handle her belongings without creating more conflict. I also really need advice on what kind of message to send about her belongings, and what kind of deadline to give her to arrange for pickup or even shipping, because right now I really don't know what to do. Okay, in my opinion, if your significant other or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever, if they haven't contacted you in 3 weeks, literally almost a month of just no contact, that to me is a clear indication that, yeah, we're probably breaking up. I'm sorry, and I totally understand, some people need space. Some people need some time to figure some things out. But if we really were in a good spot, then what's there to figure out, dude? I thought we were in a good space. I thought I was that safe space for you to be honest and open with me. So for the girlfriend to not only be seeing these messages, but still deciding, oh, I just don't want to talk to him right now, or removing him from the Instagram close friends circle that he was in, that is just one red flag after another. She clearly wants to break up. So in my opinion, I would send one last message, and I would probably reach out to the friend that helped me out earlier. I would say, hey, all your stuff's gonna be with your friend. I think we're breaking up. I'm not interested in this anymore. If you can't talk to me, then I can't be your boyfriend, etc. Whatever you want to say. But the punchline is, hey, we're breaking up and all your stuff will be with this friend. And then I would bring it over and just be like, here you go, we're done. I'm not dealing with this. Because seriously, if she can't even be bothered to talk to you and at least express how she feels, even though she'll do that for a friend, that is some weird behavior that I just would not excuse. I would take that as a personal slight and be like, okay, we just are not going to work out. And I would just leave it at that, because this sounds like a giant waste of time and I would just not want to put in any more effort to someone that clearly doesn't want to be with me. I'm convinced that my husband is ruining my reputation by making other people think that I'm just this dishonest person, even though I'm not. And things have gotten so bad that if I try to fix the situation by basically clearing my name, I would essentially be throwing my husband under the bus, which has really put me in a corner where I just don't know what to do anymore. Here's basically what's happening. Okay, so over the past year and a bit, there's been this narrative that has popped up that I'm being dishonest, and it even resulted in the loss of a long-term friendship because she was absolutely convinced that I lied about something that I hadn't. I've been trying to figure out why, and since I have a therapist to help support my general mental health already, I've asked her to be brutally honest with me and tell me if there's something about the way I'm speaking, reacting, that could even come across as dishonest in the first place. Now, she didn't think so, and I know that I haven't been lying, so I've been very, very frustrated that this has been popping up more frequently. So basically, my husband has a bad habit of correcting me in front of other people, and in addition to my therapist suggesting that this may be a contributing factor, I've also considered that, yeah, that's probably what's going on here. Now, for example, for the kind of thing I'm talking about, one time we were chatting with an older couple who sat next to us on holiday. They asked if we were on our honeymoon, and when I said we were just dating, they got noticeably less friendly, and the conversation just kind of ended abruptly. This is not that big of a deal, but I interpreted that as them not thinking that we should have been on vacation together if we weren't married. And I still think, based on their facial expressions and reaction, that that was part of it. After our trip, this couple came up, and I mentioned offhandedly candidly that the conversation abruptly stopped, and they seemed unimpressed that we were traveling together unmarried. Well, my husband then jumped in front of the other people and corrected me, saying that I was reading into it too much and that's not exactly what happened. While it's entirely valid that his interpretation may be different, and it's entirely possible that my interpretation was incorrect, I still wasn't lying, and I also explained that that was how I thought it seemed. This is a pretty good example of the kind of situations where he'll correct me publicly. I'm not lying, and maybe we have interpreted things differently, but when he corrects me definitively in front of others, it really makes me appear dishonest. He's also very forgetful, and if I remember something and he doesn't, his default is to say that he doesn't know what I'm talking about when it's in front of other people, and then remember when we have a follow-up discussion in private. Oftentimes saying things like, "Oh, that's what you were talking about. I thought you were talking about this other thing. That's why I said I didn't think that happened." But ultimately, it doesn't help if he only realizes what I was talking about in private, but continues to call me out in public. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, and he tells me that he had communicated something to a family member a little while back that I'll leave out because it's quite identifiable. I didn't know that he had done this, so I felt bad that I'd been communicating with them as if my husband hadn't just shared what he shared, and felt it was necessary to apologize and clarify that I just didn't realize. I wasn't trying to be insensitive, and I didn't mean to make them feel uncomfortable. I just didn't realize. The family member then gets back to me and says they're confused. My husband told them what he had told me he had told them. Well, long story short, I discussed this with my husband, and it leads to a bigger conversation about a bunch of instances where people have been upset or there's been drama over the past year or so, and it comes out that he communicates things differently to different people, and it's causing a bunch of confusion. He also doesn't communicate things clearly and just kind of assumes that people understand what he means, even though he's not actually clearly communicating. For instance, I was upset about something one of his family members had done to me, but I specifically said I wasn't looking for an apology. I just needed it to not happen again. Well, the family member then reached out because he had told them I expected an apology, and they had a lot of attitude when they did it because they obviously didn't like being told what to do. After discussing this, he clarified that he said that I expected an apology because that's what he thought needed to happen, but he then told the family member I expected one, and not that it was something he felt was needed in the situation. But when I responded to the family member, I didn't know any of this, so I essentially said that no one was forcing them to apologize. So I really wasn't sure why I was getting this angry apology out of the blue. Meanwhile, I had no clue that he had said I expected an apology, so I kind of look like I'm all over the map and a little bit crazy. Essentially, the takeaway from our most recent conversation is that he doesn't communicate things to others well, or even accurately a good chunk of the time, not because he's trying to lie, but because he gets overwhelmed in social settings or when there's conflict. However, I have no idea how many of these little situations have happened where he's like literally told someone something or communicated that I expected something, but I don't actually know. And this, coupled with correcting me in front of other people over minor details, is 100% making me out to be a liar when I'm not, or at least making me appear dramatic or unreliable when that really isn't the case. I have no idea how many relationships have been impacted by this, or when it's going to come up again with the other people he's talked to, but I'm sure the time will come when I need to address this with some of these people. So seriously, how do I go about doing this without completely throwing my husband under the bus? I'm obviously not going out of my way to address this with like external people, but there have been a couple of conversations over the last few years where people have point blank told me they know I'm lying, and I've been genuinely very confused because I don't have any idea of what they're talking about. In one situation, I tried to ask follow-up questions, and the response was that my own husband knows I'm a liar, but they wouldn't elaborate further. And at the time, my own husband said he was also confused. And ever since, I actually haven't even spoken to this person. However, after talking to my husband, we identified a lot of situations where this has happened. We basically ran through a bunch of interactions. I shared my interpretation, explained why I was confused that someone had said whatever they said, and then he shared how he thinks he explained the situation, as well as his interpretation that was ultimately different from mine. Thinking of all the potential instances that this has happened in is so overwhelming, and I don't know where to begin in trying to explain this to people without them thinking I'm telling more lies just to cover up the other lies, or without making my husband look really bad. I honestly just feel like my credibility has been completely destroyed, and it really bothers me. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Okay, this is a mess across the board. First off, it really seems like the original poster is reading way too much into these situations where they have to like almost overdo it when it comes to like apologizing. Like, my God, the amount of people pleasing that's happening right now is annoying. Like, you're assuming that something bad went wrong like in the conversation, and so you're going out of your way to try and fix what really wasn't a problem. Like, the couple on the cruise is like a good example middle of it, where you're like, oh, did I do something wrong? Is this my fault? And it's like, what are you talking about? There literally is no conflict. But on the other side of the spectrum, your husband is just lying about you. He lies about these scenarios just to try and fix the problem, but in fixing it, he's making it worse because he's painting you as the bad guy, and that is obnoxious. Seriously, imagine how annoying that would be. You go to your significant other and you say, man, I wish the mailman would actually put my letter in the mailbox properly, but instead of being normal about this, your husband is essentially saying to the mailman, you've got to apologize to my wife right now, you offended her. And it's like, dude, nobody got offended and I didn't need an apology. Like, what's happening right now? So in my opinion, I think the both of you have some things to work on. Like, this is some weird behavior across the board. Your husband is the one lying all the time, you're reading way too much into these situations, and so the both of you combined together and tumbling around is making all of this just completely convoluted and weird. So hopefully you guys can figure this out. Like, honestly, this is such a bizarre story. I think you both need some things to work on, and hopefully you can get through this, because the level of mental gymnastics that went into assuming half of this was exhausting, and hopefully you figure it out. I recently dumped my boyfriend and basically called him dirty, all because he was letting his life fall apart and his hygiene was going down the drain. But now he's acting like I ruined his life and his self-esteem, and it's kind of put me in a spot where I don't know what to do and I'm not sure how to fix this situation. Here's what happened. Okay, so about 4 years ago, I got dumped by a guy I thought was the love of my life. He was cheating on me for months before that, and I knew about it, but I refused to acknowledge it. And I just don't even know how to explain it. I was just so in love that I felt like I couldn't function without him. Anyways, one of the people that offered me the most support then was his absolute best friend, who chose to stay friends with me after I was dumped and stopped talking to my ex. We then started dating a couple months after the breakup, and I truly loved him. He was smart, handsome, funny, he was tall, he had pretty eyes, I mean, you name it, this guy had it. It took some time to actually feel like I wanted to be in a relationship with him, mostly due to the insane guilt and knowing the fact that he was my ex's best friend. It just felt wrong in some way. We were in a relationship for 3.5 years, and towards the beginning of the 3rd year, it really started getting worse. He lost his job, he refused to get a full-time position because everything was just wrong for him. We lived together, so I paid a significant amount of our monthly expenses. He also started to lack hygiene and generally just started to look worse. He was bathing maybe once a week. He didn't brush his teeth every night, constantly just walked around in the same clothing, even though I washed his stuff regularly. He wouldn't take me on dates, he wouldn't go on walks, he would even refuse to drive his car if I didn't pay for gas. And when I refused, he would just stay home and ignore every responsibility that required him to get in the car. He also started being a smart mouth, at the lack of a better word. Every single opinion I shared was wrong, and it felt like our conversations were just him mansplaining things to me. Well, a week ago, I broke up with him. I was so done with everything, and every conversation was just him disagreeing with my feelings anyways. I wanted to be civil, but the moment I sat him down and I told him, it was like he went through all stages of grief at once. He begged me to stay, and then he cried. Then he yelled at me, and eventually he told me, and I quote, "You suck at giving me pleasure," which I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. And this got me so mad. Not because I felt personally attacked, but because it was such a disrespectful thing to say in a moment like this. My response was basically something along the lines of, well, I don't, and I'm just too disgusted to get anywhere near you. When I said that, he cried again. He looked at me like he wanted to slap the crap out of me, and then he stormed out. He texted me a few times saying how awful I was to him and how I broke his heart and ruined his relationship with his best friend. He also told me that I made him feel unattractive and wounded his self-esteem. So I decided I'm going to be going ahead and covering his therapy bill. So what can I do to resolve this? I would still be willing to work on us if he was reflective at all, but honestly, this feels really fruitless in some ways and I just don't know what to do. Before I get to anything, bro, you do not need to pay for his therapy bill. Are you kidding me right now? There's a difference between being nice to someone and then just doing way too much, and holy crap, you're doing way too much. Because seriously, you tried your best to make this work. You did everything you possibly could. And guess what? It still wasn't enough. He still just refused to clean up his life. And that's not your fault. That is literally his. And I think what would really freak me out the most is him refusing to bathe. I don't know about anyone else, but that would freak me out and make me want to probably vomit. There's no way I would put up with that. So seriously, I think you just gotta move on and find someone better than this. I get that you want to hang on to it and be oh, we can make it work, but my god, this feels like a giant waste of time and you can find someone so much better than this. My girlfriend is messaging me from a fake account, pretending to be someone else and won't admit that it's her, putting me in a situation where now she's pissed off at me, and I now just don't know what to do, especially because literally this entire scenario is all her fault. Welcome back to Am I the Jerk? Dude, the original poster's girlfriend in this first story is one of the most insecure people I've ever met in my life. She literally made up like another account just to message her boyfriend, and is now legitimately upset with her boyfriend that he's even messaging this fake account, which is still her by the way, and like somehow going behind her back. It's like really weird, dude. Like the level of crazy you must possess to have those kind of thoughts is just beyond me. So subscribe to Am I the Jerk if you haven't already, click the bell to turn on notifications, and with that, let's get started. For a bit of background, I usually see my girlfriend every day, and we keep fairly constant communication via phone calls and texting when we aren't together. This week, I've only seen her like once on Monday due to personal circumstances with my family, but we're still messaging with FaceTime calls and we're going to see each other this weekend. Well, on Wednesday, I was messaged by someone I didn't recognize on a certain social media platform, which at the time I immediately assumed was her. When I asked her though, she said it wasn't her, but instead a male friend. I know many of her friends and I have some of their contact information, or I have them added on social media, but I was still confused why her friend would be messaging me like that, and asked her who he was and if I knew him. She then gave me a name I didn't recognize, but wouldn't say why he was trying to contact me. But I just figured I would open the message and just say hi, I guess. The person I was texting, instead of just saying hi, wanted to have a conversation with me, which quickly made me realize that this guy was just my girlfriend. After this realization, I continued to chat with them with full knowledge that it was my girlfriend I was talking to. Now, on the same day, my girlfriend and I were messaging, and she told me some things about him, but even from the beginning, I knew it was her, but I wasn't necessarily bothered by it at that point. Even though I thought it was weird, I believed it was like a prank of some sort, and I found it kind of cute. Yesterday, however, is when I started getting upset. She began a conversation with me again on her fake guy friend account that evening while messaging. Without getting into exactly what she said, her guy friend told me that she had told him that my girlfriend got upset when I messaged him first one time before messaging her. Now, following this, my girlfriend wouldn't respond to my messages, but her friend was happily relaying to me that this was because she was mad at me and didn't want to talk currently. And honestly, I was really confused by this. With me knowing that the other account is her, I can't understand why she's creating fake issues in our relationship. There's allegedly two people that are both her, and she's mad at me for not replying to one of them first. After this, I immediately distanced myself from the situation because I was fed up, and I just stopped trying to message her, as well as close all messages with her friend. Today though, I haven't opened the app that her friend was talking to me on, and I also barely texted her either. Tomorrow we had plans to meet up, which I confirmed with her will still happen, and I'm wondering how to approach this with her in person. She knows about my family situation and that I'm especially busy right now. So what can I say to her to finally get her to admit that it's her doing this, or even just to explain the situation to me and stop? I really need some ideas because at this point, I really just don't know what to do. Okay, dude, if I had a girlfriend doing this, I would be so annoyed because seriously, she's telling me how she feels through a fake account. And just like the original poster said, she is literally fabricating drama. Like you're literally making the issues and then getting upset when it doesn't go your way. Like what are we doing right now? Like the mental gymnastics going into this is crazy. She is the owner of both accounts, right? And she's pissed off that her boyfriend is messaging someone that she told him was her friend, even though that mysterious person is still her. Like this is some weird test that the original poster is never gonna pass. Like you're never gonna make this lady happy. Where it kind of seems like your girlfriend's trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna catch him cheating. Like she probably thinks you're cheating. Like if I'm being honest, that's probably what's going on here. And she's making up this extra account to be like, oh, okay, maybe you would message and talk to someone you don't know. But the entire time it's literally her. Like it's her on the other account pretending to be someone else. What is going on right now? Like where do we go from here? This doesn't make any sense. If you're upset with your boyfriend, then hey, here's an idea. Just talk to him. You don't have to test him. You don't have to go through all these loops to be like, oh, I'm gonna catch you in the act. You're definitely cheating, but I can't prove it. Like, bro, that is not the way to do this. Just talk to him, bro. I'm sure he likes you. I'm sure he wants to be with you, but you doing stuff like this ain't gonna help anybody. Like she's almost catfishing you with a fake friend, and then she's choosing to get mad at you when you interact with this fake friend, after she was the one that said, oh, that's a guy friend of mine. Like, obviously the original poster isn't gay, so it's not like he's gonna hit on him. So it's like, what on earth are we upset about? Literally, the girlfriend has made up all this drama, has fabricated all of this, and is somehow upset that you fell into like what she didn't want you to do, even though she's the one that instigated it. Like, bro, here's the thing. Do yourself a favor and break up with this lady. You don't need this. This is weird. This is insecurity at its finest, bro. Like, in my opinion, I think you can find a better girlfriend than this who's not going to like test you with like a fake army of accounts accounts that she's going to use to be like, let's see if you're loyal. That's honestly incredibly weird, and I just would never want to put up with that. If you like Am I the Jerk and what we're doing over here, please check out Am I the Genius. It's going to be linked down below in the description. Just click and go ahead and subscribe to them. And also, if you have your own stories you want to submit, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you want to submit your own stories. We're reading them all the time and we're picking out the best ones, so trust me, we would love to hear what you have to say. Am I the jerk for calling out my roommate for romanticizing a lifestyle that she couldn't even handle for a week? Because my roommate became obsessed suddenly with living this minimalist lifestyle, resulting in me losing my cool on her when she tried to act like she was traumatized by pretending to be poor. Here's basically how it all happened. Okay, so I live with my roommate who I will call Lena, and we're both the same age, and we've been friends since college. And I gotta be honest, for the most part, we got along just fine. The issue really started because Lena became obsessed with this whole minimalist struggle lifestyle trend that she sees online. She constantly talks about how people are too soft, how living paycheck to paycheck builds character, and how society has become spoiled. For a bit of context, I grew up genuinely poor, and we're talking power getting shut off sometimes, sharing one meal between siblings, and wearing shoes until they literally split apart poor. I work full-time now and finally have some stability, but it took years to get here. Lena, on the other hand, grew up very comfortable. Her parents still pay her car insurance, phone bill, and occasionally send her money just because, which is fine, like I don't judge that. What really bothered me was how she romanticized struggling like it was some quirky aesthetic. A few weeks ago, Lena announced that she wanted to disconnect from consumerism and live on an extreme budget for a month. She kept acting like she was about to survive the Great Depression. I mean, she even made TikToks about it. By day 3, she was already complaining nonstop. She complained about eating cheap meals, complained that the apartment was depressing without takeout coffee every day. She complained about taking the bus once because she didn't want to pay for gas. Then on day 6, she broke down crying because she couldn't order sushi and realized how mentally exhausting budgeting was. Meanwhile, she still had savings, she still had family support, and she knew she could quit anytime she wanted. The real breaking point happened when she looked at me and said, "I seriously just don't know how poor people do this. I feel so traumatized right now." I then let out a laugh a little bit because I genuinely thought she was joking. But guess what? She wasn't. I then told her, well, that's because for you, it's a temporary challenge. You could just stop whenever you want. For some people, it's real life, and romanticizing it online is honestly insulting. She then got really quiet and later accused me of gatekeeping struggle and invalidating her experience. A couple of our friends think that I was unnecessarily harsh because she was just trying to learn empathy, but others said that she needed the reality check. Now the apartment as a result of this is super tense and she is barely speaking to me. So am I at fault here because I really just don't know what to do from here? Dude, you're not the jerk at all. Lena definitely needed like a wake-up call. Anyone trying to be like, oh yeah, she's just trying to learn empathy. She's trying to understand what other people go through. Like, bro, if you need to go to the extent of like, I'm gonna live like a poor person just to understand that some people have it a lot worse than you do, then you're not only lacking empathy, you're probably also lacking intelligence. Like, I gotta be honest. And the fact that Lena tried to be like, oh yeah, I'm traumatized by this. This was really hard. Like, dude, you're an idiot. You're doing this willingly and you literally don't even know what it's like to be that poor. So no, you're not the jerk for reminding Lena that she's cosplaying as someone who has no money, because this level of virtue signaling is very performative and honestly just a little bit insulting, especially for those among us like myself who have been poor and we do know what that kind of struggle's like. My girlfriend of 3 years literally joked about and told my biggest insecurity to her friends as a funny story at game night, which for me was a horrifying experience because right now I feel so hurt that I just don't know what to do. Here's basically what happened. Okay, so last weekend we did our usual game night at home. Everything was great until we had a few drinks and found ourselves playing a classic Never Have I Ever game. Out of nowhere, my girlfriend starts sharing this story about how when we first started dating, I was really anxious about being naked around her because I've got a scar from surgery I had as a kid. She went into detail, even striking the awkward pose I apparently did that first time. And when she did that, everyone burst out laughing. Meanwhile, I was sitting there with my face probably as red as a tomato. But you know what? I kept quiet. I mean, I didn't want to ruin the fun, you know? Well, later when the guests left, I told her calmly that it really stung. That's a personal story that I shared with her, not fodder for laughs. She then just rolls her eyes and says, babe, it was funny. You're way too sensitive. They're our friends. So I crashed on the couch. The morning comes around and she acted like nothing had happened. Even made a joke about it again. I then packed a bag and I went to stay at my brother's house for a few days. And now she's blowing up my phone, saying I'm ruining the relationship over a stupid joke, and that I embarrassed her in front of our friends by being distant all night. Now, I get that couples poke fun at each other, but this just felt entirely different. It It was like she took something I've genuinely struggled with, something I cried to her about early on, and turned it into a punchline. I've told her so many times that I really hate when people bring up the scar, and she absolutely knows this about me. And now I'm feeling guilty since she's crying and saying that it wasn't meant to hurt me. Part of me wonders if I'm overreacting and should just let it slide. But another part of me thinks that she crossed a line and doesn't even recognize it. What should I do? Okay, in my opinion, I think your girl absolutely did something so uncalled for. First off, I think it's very inappropriate to share personal things to like other people, especially things that are sensitive, like maybe, a surgery scar. Hey, guess what? Your boyfriend probably doesn't want that shared with friends, even if they are just friends and it's like, oh, we all get along with each other. Like, bro, is nothing private with you? Like, what are you doing right now? Don't just share my secrets with everybody. Like, that's inappropriate. But for me, like, the worst part about all of this is the fact that she was so dismissive towards you. Like, is she really pulling the card of, oh, you're too sensitive, baby. It's just not that serious. Like with her rolling her eyes at you and acting like you're the problem for not getting the joke. You know, the joke that's at your expense. Like, what are we doing? That is so toxic, bro. Like, if I was in the original poster shoes, bro, I'd be out of there. I wouldn't want to come back. Like, I would even like consider seriously breaking up. Like, that really would be a big deal. And no, it's not just a stupid joke. The original poster describes this as their biggest insecurity in their life. Can you imagine that if someone took something super sensitive to you and said, okay, I'm gonna make a joke out of this and make fun of you for it? Like, my guy, I would be so devastated by that. Like, you can't just do that to someone and expect them to be okay with it. Like, what was she thinking? So, bro, I don't think you're overreacting at all. I think getting some distance away from her and making sure she's actually sorry, meaning that she's not gonna do this again, would really be important in this scenario. Because this would 100% for me, like, disrupt any feelings of love or admiration I might have towards her. So the fact that you're feeling that way right now is not unusual and completely justified. Am I the jerk for telling my dad that he can't invite his girlfriend to my graduation simply because my mom paid for the entire trip and I feel it would be unfair for her? Because right now he's trying to twist this into something it's not, and it's really putting me in a bad position. And at this point, I just don't know what to do. Here's what's going on. Okay, so I'm graduating college in 2 weeks. My parents divorced when I was 11, and they are civil now, but they're definitely not friends. I also want to say that I love my dad, but he has always been the parent who shows up if it's easy. My mom, on the other hand, was the one who showed up when it was not. She worked extra shifts, she drove me everywhere, she helped with forms, she cried with me when I almost dropped out, and somehow still made me feel like I was not a burden. The graduation is 7 hours from home, and I only get 4 guest tickets. I invited my mom, my dad, my younger brother, and my grandma. My grandma helped raise me when my mom was struggling, so having her there really matters a lot. My mom booked an Airbnb months ago for herself, my brother, my grandma, and me. She also paid for the rental car and gas because my brother and grandma could not afford the trip. My dad, on the other hand, said he would drive himself and get a cheap motel. Then last month, he said money was tight and he might not come. I tried to act like I understood, but honestly, I was hurt. My mom then quietly offered to pay for 1 hotel night so he could at least still be there. She said to me, listen, you deserve both parents there, even though I know it cost her more than just money. Well, last week, my dad called, sounding excited, and he said his girlfriend, who I will call Karen, got the weekend off and was coming too. They've been dating for exactly 8 months. And guess what? I've met her twice. Karen's not evil or anything like that, but she is definitely not close to me. At my brother's birthday dinner, she kept calling herself the bonus mom, and my brother looked like he wanted to disappear. I then asked my dad what he meant by, oh, Karen was coming, and he said that she wanted to support me and was basically family, but I told him I don't have a ticket for her. He then said that she could still come to dinner, take pictures, and hang out at the Airbnb, but I said no. The Airbnb was paid for by my mom, you know, for the people I invited. To which he said, well, Karen wouldn't mind sleeping on the couch, and honestly, that made me snap just a little bit. I told him the couch wasn't the point. The point was that my mom paid so that he could come watch his daughter graduate, not so he could turn it into like a couple's weekend. He then got upset and said mom always gets to be the main parent, and he just wanted someone there so he would not feel awkward. But I told him this weekend was not about making him feel comfortable. It was about me graduating, and I just wanted one weekend where my mom was not expected to swallow her feelings and fix everyone else's. He then said to me, well, if Karen's not welcome, then maybe I should just stay home. And I said to him, well, that would be your choice, but I'm not going to give up my brother or my grandma's spot, and I'm definitely not going to ask my mom to host his girlfriend. Well, as a result of all this, my aunt is now saying I humiliated him, and somehow I made Karen feel unwanted. My dad even texted me and said, I hope making your point was worth it. My mom says that she supports me, but I can tell she feels guilty. I do want my dad there, but I just hate that even my graduation has somehow turned into everyone worrying about his feelings. So am I the jerk here, or is my dad at fault? Because I don't know what to do anymore. Okay, there's one thing your dad said that made my blood boil. I don't know about anyone else, but it's the fact that this guy's like, wow, your mom always gets to be the main parent. And it's like, gets to be the main parent? No, she had to be the main parent, dude. This guy's a deadbeat. He literally did nothing to help out. Your mom sacrificed so much. She worked overtime. She was with you at every single event in your life. Meanwhile, this guy's like a Disney dad, where he only shows up for like the big spectacular vacations. But then he's never in eyesight when it comes to like the hard stuff, the stuff that's really difficult. You got to get down in like the nitty gritty. He's nowhere to be seen when that crap hits the fan. Meanwhile, your mom is like ride or die. She's there whether it's good or bad. So for this guy to really sit there and be like, wow, I hope this was worth making your point, and somehow have this sick sense of like entitlement towards your graduation, by the way, like that is absolutely toxic and unacceptable. So no, you're not the jerk. You didn't do anything wrong. If this guy doesn't want to be there just because he's being a weirdo, then congratulations, he can just not be there. And it really sucks because unfortunately, this would not be anything you're not familiar with. He was never there anyways when you needed him. So what's so different about him not showing up to your graduation? My new arrogant, awful manager is one of the worst people I've ever had to work for, as this guy has made this job unbelievably toxic and it's made my work environment completely horrible. And now, even though I have a fantastic paycheck and I make a ton of money, I'm considering quitting my job and finding something else because I honestly am miserable and I don't know what else to do. Here's basically what happened. Okay, I really just need to vent to people who actually maybe will get this because my new manager is awful and I really just don't know what to do here. The restaurant industry itself is stressful enough, and that often creates unhealthy dynamics. You know, like toxic managers who just like to yell frequently for literally nothing. And guess what? That is exactly the position I'm in right now. Now, to be completely honest, the money here is incredible. The base wage is way above average and the tips are amazing. Before this guy got hired, this was literally the best job I've ever had. I tried looking at other job opportunities, but everything else would be a significant pay cut, which makes leaving a really tough pill to swallow. But this new manager is driving me and all my coworkers into desperation. Like seriously, nobody likes him. He micromanages, he breathes down our necks, and he screams at everyone at any hour. Here's basically a breakdown of his classic management style. For starters, the very second a guest closes their menu, he starts frantically yelling that we need to take their order this exact minute. Also, if he sees a table eating a salad, he has to ask us anxiously to hit send on the mains right now. And most of the time, we've already done that. Like, I don't get why he can't just let us do our jobs alone for like at least 2 minutes. He also loves to exaggerate to make us look bad at all cost. He'll scream out and say, that table's been waiting for 20 minutes, when in reality, it's been like maybe 8 minutes max. And then he loves to repeat on top of this, well, if you don't want to do the work, then just go home. And if you try to calmly correct him with facts, he loses it. Like, God forbid you go against his word. Another catchphrase he loves to repeat is, oh, if you don't like the way I operate, you can go home. Now, as you have probably noted above, he really likes to tell us at every opportunity to just go home, which I find really humiliating. Plus, since this manager got hired only a few months ago, he already fired 3 people on the spot, and he threatened to fire also another guy before he calmed down after another of his explosive daily and angry outbursts. Now, the very worst part about all of this is that trying to report him and his behavior to the higher-ups is totally useless. The other manager, the restaurant owner, and this guy are all best friends, so reporting him would just put a target on my back. I'm honestly getting mentally exhausted. I've realized that preserving my mental health, my dignity, and sanity has got to come way before a big paycheck. Because he's protected by the owners, he isn't going anywhere. I've decided to stick it out through the end of the high season, which is around January, just to stack my cash, and then once I get it, I am handing in my notice. It just really sucks to see a once perfect job get ruined overnight by one highly unstable and arrogant manager. So seriously, has anyone ever experienced a working environment similar to this one? Because I don't know what else to do. Oh man, I've been there, dude. I know exactly what the original poster's going through. I had managers that were like so unbelievably angry all the time that I could see their vein throbbing in their neck even before they started yelling at us. And it was always over like stupid mundane stuff, like they've got their own quotas they're trying to meet, and so they see you as a pawn they need to push forward so that they keep their job. But it's like, bro, if you just let me do my job, then everything's gonna be fine. I'm trying to take care of the customer. I can't help you with whatever anxiety you're under. And the fact that this guy's constantly like, oh, if you don't like it, you can go home. And it's like, bro, I'm telling you right now, if enough people quit and if you fire enough people, the guys that hired you will very quickly be like, wait a second, you're the problem. And I don't care how good of friends they are. If you start affecting someone's bottom line, someone's ability to make a crap ton of money, then congratulations, you will absolutely get the axe. Because if there's one thing I've learned in life, literally anybody's replaceable. I don't care who you are. I don't care how long you've worked somewhere. I don't care if you're good buddies with anybody. Like, screw that. Anybody can be replaced at any time. So if I was in your shoes, and this is what I did, I would absolutely start looking for another job. You said it best, dude. You got to think about your sanity in this one. Your mental health and your dignity and like your ability to like stay sane at work, that absolutely has to be priority. Because if you don't, you're just going to be miserable. And in my opinion, I would much rather work somewhere at a lower pay where I actually enjoy what I'm doing and I like my coworkers and my manager than to work somewhere where I'm getting treated like crap every day. I'm getting like a pretty good paycheck, but literally everything else about this job just completely sucks. But what about you? Leave a comment down below. I would love to hear some of your nightmare scenarios that you've experienced in the past. Have you had a bad manager like this? Like, how did you survive this situation? Leave a comment. I would love to hear what you have to say. My fiancé is angry with me after I said no to her sleeping with other guys, as she is almost desperate in wanting to swing with her friends, if you know what I mean, and is even calling me insecure when I said no, putting me in a situation that I never even imagined was possible, because now I just don't know what to do. Welcome back to Am I the Jerk, the only show where your significant other can betray you literally overnight, because the original poster's fiancé is doing just that. This is some crazy behavior. So subscribe to Am I the Jerk if you haven't already. Have a seat, strap in for this one because it gets incredibly spicy. Let's get started. Okay, guys, I'm a mess right now. My chest feels tight and I can barely eat. To start things off, I've been with my fiance ever since high school, and we started dating right after she went to university. And now, all these years later, we've been together for almost 10 years. She has been my whole world. Things between us have always been good, and I was completely happy. And honestly, I thought we were set for life. But a few weeks ago, she suddenly suggested swinging with one of her close friend couples. And this is people that we actually know. And when she said this, I felt sick to my stomach and I told her no immediately. Like, the whole idea just makes me feel like I can't breathe, and I don't want anything like that at all. And just to step in as the narrator here, if you don't know what swinging is, it's basically like extracurricular sleeping together. Like, that's the best way I know how to put it. So this is probably why the original poster is so upset about this. Anyways, back to the story. My girlfriend then got really angry and called me close-minded and controlling. Now she barely speaks to me unless she's bringing it up again. In fact, today, she tried being gentle about it and suggested a softer version where we would just be in the same room. And I still said no. And it really feels like she's slowly trying to pressure me, and it's destroying me inside. Every time I refuse, she says that I'm just being insecure and that this isn't about replacing me. But I grew up in a house where I was never enough. My feelings were always ignored. And this situation is tearing open all these like old wounds and making me feel worthless again. I'm starting to pull away because I don't know what else to do. I'm scared she'll resent me or cheat if I keep saying no, but saying yes would break me. I love her so much, but right now I feel lost, I feel scared, and I just don't feel good enough. So has anyone ever dealt with this before? Because I don't know what to do. Before we go any further, the original poster has some updates, and I definitely want to share these because these give some really big insights. Here's what he had to say. First off, I want to say thank you to all the people who bashed me and shared their own stories or even motivated me to do something. The amount of comments was insane, so I disappeared for a bit, and I just needed time to process it. But you know what? Something happened. While she was in the shower, I broke my own rules and I looked at her phone. This is the one time in my life I did this, and what I saw broke me. She had been texting her friends, which is the couple, and told them everything, all of my most private stuff. She wrote about how I'm insecure about my size, how I constantly need validation, and that's why I work so hard at the gym, and I've been doing that for years, and how she can't wait to finally have some fun time with the both of them. There were also some really mean things said about me and my childhood that cut really deep, and they're so bad that I just don't even want to repeat them here. So I made screenshots, I sent them to myself, and I got out of the house. I went straight to my female friend from work, which is the same person my fiance never liked, by the way, all because we train together a lot. Because no, my fiance never wanted to go to the gym with me. And right now I'm at her place. My friend is now telling me to get it together. She says either I go through with the partner swap thing to see if my fiance even cares a little bit, or I just break up. She even offered that I can stay at her house until I find a place to rent. She keeps saying, vengeance or not, I should just end it and finally be myself because I have a much better life. My fiance still thinks I'm just at the gym, so she doesn't actually suspect anything, but I'm slowly moving from self-pity and heartbreak into being really pissed off. Part of me actually wants to go through with this whole swinging thing just to watch her face when I walk out right afterwards. I know that's probably toxic, but I'm so hurt right now. And honestly, I just don't even know what I'm asking anymore because this all just makes me feel so lost and angry and just really stupid for trusting her for so long. The original poster actually has more of an update here and things get crazy, so strap in for this one. Okay, so I went back home acting completely normal so she wouldn't suspect anything, and I decided to ask her one question. I pulled her close, I tried to sound soft and a little nervous, and I asked her, "Baby, if I actually agreed to this, what would you want it to look like?" Well, when I did this, the switch flipped instantly. Her whole face lit up. She got so excited, she was kissing me all over, she was hugging me tight, and even started describing exactly how she wanted it to go, who she wanted to do it with, the order, and everything. She was glowing, talking non-stop, like super enthusiastic about this. But not once did she ask if I was really okay with it, if I was comfortable with any of this, or how I was feeling in the first place. Instead, she just went full sunshine mode, and that was all the confirmation I needed. Now, you want to know what the funny thing is? Not even 15 minutes after I told her I agreed, the other girl texted me that she's super happy I changed my mind, and that she's wanted a taste of me ever since my fiance first introduced us. My fiance has now been walking around like a ray of sunshine, acting way happier than when I proposed to her, and that hurt more than anything. And now I feel really stupid in this situation, and I just don't know what to do. Okay, dude, you had better break up with this lady. Like, this is some crazy behavior, dude. Think about it. She's pissed off that you're not letting her sleep with other people. Like, are you kidding me right now? And she's slowly, like, whittling away at your defenses until you say yes? Like, please tell me you're not gonna go through with this and be like, it's fine, I'll let you do this. Like, no, dude, grow a spine. Get out of there while you can. This is not okay. Because, dude, you're clearly not okay with this. Like, you're not consenting to this kind of activity. You don't think this is a good idea, and you're probably gonna be pissed off at your fiance probably forever. Like, I know I would be. Like, this would ruin my relationship with her. So truly, this is a giant red flag. And in my opinion, the fact that she even, like, I don't know, made fun of your childhood and said these terrible things about you, like, bro, it's pretty obvious that she doesn't like you anymore and she wants to sleep with other people. And that is completely unacceptable, and you don't deserve that in the slightest. If you like Am I the Jerk and what we're doing over here, please check out Am I the Genius. It's going to be linked down below in the description. Just click and go ahead and subscribe to them. And also, if you have your own stories you want to submit, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you want to submit your own stories. We're reading them all the time and we're picking out the best ones, so trust me, we would love to hear what you have to say. Am I the jerk for being upset with my boyfriend as he doesn't want to let me go on a vacation abroad with my best friend, even though I'm paying for it myself and we are fully capable of doing so? Because right now I'm upset, I'm super pissed off, and I seriously just don't know what to do. Here's what's currently happening. Okay, so for a bit of context, I have a best friend and we have been friends for 8 years, and it's always been our dream to go abroad together. It just sounds incredible to vacation as a duo, wake up for breakfast together, tan and take photos, etc. It honestly is something we've really wanted to do for a long time. Now, I told my boyfriend about this a month and a half ago, and of course, he immediately said he wasn't completely on board, but he also said that he needed to think about it and that it was a debatable topic. Basically, I kept talking and talking and talking to him about it, and eventually he stopped reacting badly and would just listen. So I thought that everything was fine and he agreed to let me go. In fact, we generally don't have strict restrictions on our relationship. Naturally, we understand that we don't go to clubs at night and things like that, but I never thought he wouldn't be able to let me go abroad. I was supposed to go entirely at my own expense. In fact, I worked a lot specifically for this. And then yesterday, we literally had a conversation when I already started picking our hotels. He says, "Wait, you're actually going somewhere? I'm against it. I don't want you to go. You'll be partying and hanging out there." And I just said to him, I won't be partying or hanging out. If you really want, all I'm gonna do is go tanning and eat some food, and we will have fun during the day, and at night, we'll just sleep in our room. To which he said he's against all of it anyways. Now, honestly, this hurts me so deeply because I have dreamed about this so much. I wanted it so badly, and now all my dreams just flew into the trash. And now because of that, I don't want to talk to him, and I just have no desire to do so. Of course, I don't want to break up, but this is just so unpleasant and very hurtful. So tell me, am I the jerk here? Like, am I really in the wrong in this situation? I understand that he worries about me, but I feel like any girl would want to go on a vacation with her best friend, like, at least once. What should I do? Okay, first of all, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I don't think you're the jerk at all. Because seriously, your boyfriend's acting like, I don't know, your owner? What do you mean he can't let you go on vacation? Like, you're absolutely able to go on vacation. It's not something that you're like restricted from doing. Like, he doesn't own you. Because the way this guy's reacting is almost like he thinks you're gonna cheat on him or something like that. And I'm willing to bet that you do love your boyfriend and you would never do that to him, so that's obviously off the table. So if anything, this guy just sounds super insecure and he's being super weird for no reason. Now, I would also kind of want to know where you're going on vacation. You did leave that part out of it. And sure, any place has something bad going on at any given moment, but it doesn't sound like you're traveling to like a war zone or something like that. Like, come on. It kind of seems like your boyfriend's overreacting and being very selfish right now. So no, you're not the jerk for being upset about this. Like, I would be pissed off, especially if I had dreamed about this for so long, like the original poster. I'd be super annoyed. I'd be like, are you kidding me right now? This is all I've ever wanted to do, and you're taking that away from me. Because essentially, that's what your boyfriend's doing, and that just feels incredibly unacceptable. Am I overreacting for refusing to babysit my sister's kids anymore after she literally said at dinner that I don't have a real job and I don't have any stress in my life? Which, if I'm being completely honest, really offended me. Because now that I've stopped helping her out, everything is falling apart. And I'm honestly not sure if I'm in the wrong or if I should just cave in and start babysitting again. Here's what's currently going on. Okay, so my sister has 3 kids under 10 years old, and somehow over the last few years, I became the default backup parent. I work from home, so everybody decided that means I'm always free. So basically it means that if the babysitter cancels, she's gonna call me. Maybe her kid has a fever, so she calls me again. Sometimes she doesn't even ask anymore. She just texts me that she's dropping them off in like 20 minutes as if I'm some kind of daycare that she already pays for or something like that. I didn't push back much because I do love my nieces and nephew. And honestly, her husband is useless half the time unless somebody is actively watching him parent. Plus, after my miscarriage last year, I think I kind of threw myself into helping people so I don't have to think too much about my own life. Last Sunday, we were having dinner at my parents' place, and my mom just let out a joke by saying, "Oh, you should start charging daycare rates." And everybody laughed at this, by the way, except for my sister. She goes, "Well, it's not like she has a real job anyways. She just sits at home on her laptop all day." Now, I laughed at first because I really thought she was kidding, but she kept going and going, saying that she has the actual exhausting life because she raises kids, while I just answer emails all day with no husband, no kids, and no responsibilities. And let me tell you something, it got super quiet after that because everybody at the table knows about the miscarriage. Even my dad looked uncomfortable and immediately tried changing the subject. But you know what? I just grabbed my stuff and I left because I could literally feel myself starting to cry. And I was not about to do that in front of everybody over some boxed wine and dried chicken parmesan. Well, ever since that dinner, I've stopped helping completely. No babysitting, no emergency pickups, literally nothing. And now she's freaking out because apparently childcare keeps falling through and she has to miss work sometimes. Yesterday, she even called saying I'm punishing innocent kids over one stupid joke and that she was clearly just kidding. But honestly, it didn't feel like a joke. It felt like one of those things that somebody has been thinking for a long time about, and finally at the wrong moment she let it slip. But now my mom wants me to let it go because the kids are stressed out and my sister's overwhelmed. My dad says he gets why I'm hurt, but also thinks I'm dragging it out too long. Part of me feels guilty because the kids didn't do anything wrong, but another part of me feels like I've basically become free labor for years. And the second I stop being useful, suddenly I'm selfish and I'm dramatic. So I don't know anymore, man, maybe I'm just overreacting, but I'm still really pissed off about it. And at this point, I just don't know what to do. No, this is absolutely not okay, dude. You didn't do anything wrong, but holy crap, the cat is out of the bag. That toothpaste is never going back in that tube, in my opinion. Because what your sister said about you was not a joke. She meant every word of it. She really thinks you don't have a real job. She thinks that you're useless and that she can use you for free labor. And that is so toxic. Like, that is completely unacceptable. So you taking a stand and like, I don't know, reclaiming your dignity is not a bad thing. This is necessary, bro. And I know for a fact I would do the same thing because you're literally helping them in good faith. You're going out of your way to say, yeah, I'll watch your kids even though I'm working. But for them to sit there and be like, well, you don't have a real job. Like, bro, you don't get to talk to me like that. No one gets to talk to me like that. You can't just say that and expect me to roll over and play dead. Like, what are we talking about? So no, you're not the jerk. You didn't do anything wrong. And if anything, this is literally just your sister getting a taste of some medicine she desperately needs. Did I overreact by cutting my parents off after I finally realized that the way I grew up was not normal because the way they raised me is really toxic, and I'm kind of at a point where I just need some distance and I simply need to stay away from them? Here's what happened. Okay, for starters, I grew up in a house that looked fine from the outside looking in. We weren't wealthy, but we were comfortable. My parents were together, we took family vacations, I did well in school, and if you asked anyone in our neighborhood about my family, they would have described it as normal and maybe even stable. I didn't start questioning any of it until I got to university and started spending real time in other people's homes. My dad ran the house through control dressed up as care. Every decision, no matter how small, had to go through him. What we ate, what we watched, what time the lights went off, what my mom wore when they went out. He never hit anyone. In fact, he didn't need to. The threat of his mood was more than enough. We all learned early on to read the signs, the way he sets his jaw, the specific silence that meant something was wrong, and we arranged ourselves around those signals constantly. And honestly, I really thought that's just what families did. My mother was also not a safe option either, which took me longer to admit because I spent years feeling sorry for her. She had a way of using my sympathy against me. When I tried to set any kind of limit as a teenager, she would cry and say I didn't love her, or she would tell me how much she had sacrificed and how little I appreciated it. Anytime I expressed a need that inconvenienced her, it suddenly became about her pain. And eventually, I learned to stop expressing needs altogether. There was also the information sharing. Anything I told my mom in what I thought was confidential ended up with my dad, usually reshaped in a way that made me look ungrateful or difficult. I got punished more than once for things I had only told her privately. I eventually stopped trusting her somewhere around the age of 12, but I definitely did not have the words for why until much later. I moved out at 18 and spent the next few years in a fog that I now understand was anxiety that I had no framework to name. I was jumpy in quiet spaces. I over-explained everything. I apologized constantly. My first therapist pointed out that I treated every mild disagreement like I was bracing for consequences. And at the time, I thought maybe she was reading too much into things. My second therapist was more direct. She did not use dramatic language, but she helped me understand that what I had grown up in was not discipline. It was an environment designed to keep me small and compliant and grateful for the bare minimum. And that realization sat in my chest like something heavy for a long time. Last year, after a visit home that left me unable to sleep for 3 days, I decided to take some distance. I sent both of my parents a calm letter explaining that I needed space and why. My dad responded by forwarding it to the extended family and framing it as me having a breakdown. My mom even called me every day for 2 weeks, leaving voicemails that alternated between devastated and accusatory. My aunt even told me that I was being cruel and that parents are not perfect, but they did their best. I've not spoken to either of them for 7 months, and some days it feels like the sanest decision I've ever made. But other days as well, the guilt is so loud I can barely hear anything else. But here's the thing, I know what I experienced. I have the therapy records and the journal entries and the memories I spent years minimizing. But there is still a part of me that wonders if I'm making something out of nothing. If everyone's childhood was hard in their own way, and I'm just the one who decided that mine was a reason to finally get out of there. So seriously, am I overreacting by cutting them out of my life? Because I seriously just don't know what to do anymore. Okay, dude, the biggest example for me as to why you're not the problem here is the way your parents reacted to you saying, hey, I'm out of here. Look at that. They literally try to paint you as either crazy or the problem, with even your aunt being like, your parents aren't perfect, but they did their best. It's like, lady, you weren't there. That was not their best. That was them being controlling and weird and just crazy. The part that would probably hurt me the most is my mom literally betraying my trust. Dude, I would go crazy if someone started spilling my secrets after I went to them in privacy to try and work them out, or at least have someone I can confide in. Seriously, you literally had no one you could talk to, and yet they're still trying to make it seem like, oh, he's having a mental breakdown. He clearly doesn't care about the family. I am devastated and this is your fault. These people suck. And I think it was only a matter of time before you finally snap and say, I can't take this anymore. I know I would get there probably pretty fast. So no, you're not overreacting. This is your life. And the fact that they made the beginning stages of your life so miserable absolutely should not dictate what you do moving forward. My partner of 2.5 years literally pulled the rug out from underneath me as he suddenly wants to break up despite the fact that we were fine just days before. And now I'm devastated and I'm not sure if I did something wrong and I just simply don't know what to do anymore. Here's what happened. Okay, I want to start off by saying that we've been living together for over a year and we had a long conversation about our future before resigning our lease about 2 months ago. I'm on his health insurance, we had vacations planned, we had storage units consolidated into one. Literally, we had our values discussed trust, like everything was in line. But then, seemingly out of nowhere, it was suddenly, oh, I don't see a future with you. And the only logical conclusion is that we have to break up. Now, it's important to note that we have 10 months on the lease. 3 days before that, I was his queen and he would do anything for me. But now he says there was never a spark to begin with. He heard on a podcast or in a book or something like that children unlock something in a man that I want to feel to grow into my role as a protector, and that my depression, my family on the opposite side of the country with whom I've implemented boundaries, and my vast emotional needs are the reason that he cannot build a family with me, all because he wants a happy home. Now, obviously, this is something that he's been thinking about for a while, and just now decided to not share the journey with me. He's avoidant, and I tried not chasing and just give him space, and asking just clear, grounded questions when I needed clarification, because doing this, I thought that would at least bring him closer, as chasing him was obviously pushing him away. So I focused on my stuff. I still kept up with the house and dinner, etc., but I started calling my friends more often instead of burdening him with my life stress. I tried to connect, but he was more and more distant, and not at all present, which really has brought about some traumas that I'm dealing with in therapy. He says therapy isn't for him, by the way, and I'm just completely devastated and wholly confused. Like, was there something that I did or could have done better? Is he just not capable? I mean, I was in it with this relationship, and I had convinced myself that we were both in it. His actions suggested that was true, but then this happened. So why do men say they can't find good women and then refuse to put in the work for those long-term partnerships that are apparently so elusive? I know that I need to get back on my own 2 feet first, but what can I do differently in the future? Where does one even find a man that truly wants a partnership? What should I do? Okay, I think you need to take a few steps back, because the way you're talking about this is almost phrasing it like you did something wrong. Because holy crap, you didn't do anything wrong. Your ex-boyfriend is just a piece of crap. Seriously, this guy's just sitting there being like, oh yeah, you're my queen. And then 3 days later says, oh yeah, we didn't have a spark. The only conclusion here is that we break up. But I bet you if you went through his phone and checked his messages or his DMs on Instagram, he probably would be singing a different tune. Like, this kind of sounds like cheater behavior if you ask me. So if I was in your shoes, man, I would be looking at this from a different angle. Like, I don't think you did anything wrong. It's clear that you're trying to like better yourself and have a good relationship with this guy, but he clearly just doesn't want it. He would rather run off and go find some other chick. And that really sucks in my opinion, and it's just not fair for you in the slightest. My boyfriend admitted to cheating on me via Instagram, as I literally caught him in the act of messaging other girls. But now, after I dumped him on the spot, he's demanding that I give him another chance, putting me in a situation where I just don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. Okay, to start things off, we've been together for almost 3 years, and I genuinely never thought anything like this would ever happen. For reference, we were really close. We spent most of our time together, we were always hanging out, and I even had his physical location for over a year just because it was convenient for both of us. Because of that, I know this was not some full secret second relationship or him physically cheating in person. Like, that almost makes this feel weirder somehow, because our relationship felt normal and solid. We were actually getting to the point of moving in together. And honestly, I am so relieved now that I was stalling. I trusted him completely. I was never the type of person to like check his phone or question what he was doing. But basically, he was using his phone to look up something and Safari was already open. I just so happened to catch a glimpse before he switched tabs, and it was some random girl's Instagram page. For context, we both deleted Instagram back in like April of last year because we both had goals of being on social media less and being more present with each other. So this is already incredibly annoying. What's also weird is that I had randomly felt insecure about his Instagram that morning for like no reason, which almost never happens to me. Even in the first few months of us dating, I had this weird gut feeling, and I even told my mom about it. Like, I really thought he was messaging other girls on Instagram, but I just blame my own insecurities because I had no real reason to think this. It was honestly so random. So in this moment, I felt the need to speak up and asked, wait, who was that? The second I said it, his whole energy shifted. He immediately got weird and defensive. He was like, what, you want me to go back? And I was like, yeah, go back. He had already switched to Google on that tab, so he went back, but started saying stuff like, I don't even know her. It's not like I've messaged her. And that immediately made my stomach drop, because who even says that unprompted? So I said, okay, well, let's see your messages then. I clicked towards his Instagram DMs, and I barely even saw anything before he completely lost it. He started snatching the phone, getting rude and defensive and angry, and even blaming me for even looking in the first place. Seriously, his reaction was so extreme, and honestly, I immediately knew something was up. Meanwhile, the whole time he kept repeating, I'm not doing anything bad. So I was like, okay, then why can't I see it? Well, he refused to let me look, and a short while later admitted that he's been direct messaging girls and replying to their stories. And my God, that was more than enough for me, and I ended ended it right there. And now he wants another chance and is acting devastated. But you know what? I'm done. I'm just gutted because I genuinely never saw this coming. I feel so deceived. I really thought I knew him, and I really thought we were building towards like a future together. I think I just need people to tell me that I'm not crazy for ending a 3-year relationship over this, because my gut is telling me that if this is what he admitted to after freaking out that hard, then there is probably more going on. I'm honestly just really sad, and I just don't know what to do now. Okay, I think anybody having this extreme of a reaction when you're like, hey, what's that? Where you're like, hey, I saw an Instagram up on like this other tab, what's going on? Like for him to start screaming and getting angry and freaking out, like yeah, that's like an admission of guilt in and of itself. I don't care who you are. That is proof right there that he's doing stuff that he shouldn't and he got caught in the act. Which is a shame because you guys have been together for 3 years and here he is cheating. And yes, he was cheating. He didn't like sleep with anybody or anything like that, but this is the beginning stages of that crap hitting the fan. Like this is what you do to lead up to that. So yeah, he was absolutely going behind your back and talking to other girls, and that's inappropriate. And I think you're right to be like suspicious of like what those messages had said, because he's already been going through like weird links just to make sure you don't see it, even having like a separate tab open on a browser that he probably thought you would never look at. Like this just screams sketchy, and yes, I'm trying to hide something. So no, you're not crazy for breaking up with him. I think that really is the smart decision here, because his reaction alone is more than enough of a red flag for anyone to be like, okay, I'm out of here and I'm not coming back. If you like Am I the Jerk and what we're doing over here, please check out Am I the Genius. It's going to be linked down below in the description. Just click and go ahead and subscribe to them. And also, if you have your own stories you want to submit, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you want to submit your own stories. We're reading them all the time and we're picking out the best ones, so trust me, we would love to hear what you have to say. My entitled neighbor owns the driveway we both use, but he's now demanding that I pay for 100% of the maintenance. And despite the fact that I tried to negotiate with this guy and somehow make him see reality and have some kind of like reasoning in what he's doing, this guy refuses to hear me out and is now demanding that I pay for everything. And at this point, I'm starting to lawyer up because I seriously just don't know what else to do. Here's what's going on. Okay, so I recently bought a house last year and with it gained an entitled neighbor. The neighbor in question is someone who I will call Rick, and we've had this ongoing dispute over the driveway. Now, here's the thing. Rick owns the driveway, but I have a legal right-of-way through it to access my property. Except Rick doesn't just casually use the driveway. He uses it constantly for his business. We're talking deliveries, trucks like UPS and FedEx. Also, he has lots of visitors, and the mail truck comes by and uses it daily. I've literally documented him using it multiple times a day. I have a Nest camera on my driveway 24/7 because I seriously felt like I was entering some like alternate reality where facts were becoming optional. Now, here's where the entitlement really enters the arena in a Subaru Outback. First, I ask that he pays 50% for plowing. We're in a city in Vermont, so there's a snow problem, right? Well, he claims I'm demanding too much because he uses the driveway so little, and apparently I have 2 units on my property. And yeah, I had to buy a duplex. It was literally going to be sold out from under us. I don't make any income from my tenants either. They're my friends, and one of them is battling cancer. I'm not like a slumlord. However, Rick owns 4 properties, 1 condo, a private pond cabin, plus his house and his personal little like man-child cave next to my place. He then counters the offer by saying a fair 15% would work, but I say no. He gets deliveries and pickups for his kid, and he has his one and only friend come over and sing horribly at like 9:30 at night. He reaches out again to ask if I accept his offer, but I don't even respond. He then responds that since I didn't respond to his 15% offer a second time, he's decided that I should be responsible for 100% of the maintenance. Not even a 50-50 split. Not proportional to actual use and not just plowing. The wildest part is the entitled confidence. There's no discussion or negotiation, and even just bypasses my pointing out that he gets delivery trucks all the time. And he's just got this energy of, oh, I have decided reality works this way now. So has anyone ever had a neighbor where they have rules for pretty much everyone else except for them? And yes, in case you're wondering, I'm attempting to find a lawyer. There's nothing in the deeds other than right-of-way, and the previous owners never got anything in writing. So I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place because right now I just don't know what to do. Okay, I hate neighbors like this, dude. This guy sounds like a complete jerk. Also, I'm just gonna be honest, he's giving off major boomer energy, and I'm really sorry to make that assumption, but like seriously, this fits the bill, dude. This weird, like psychotic entitlement, this kind of rationale of like, oh no, you're gonna pay for everything because you didn't agree with me. It's like they look at certain political figures and they're like, oh, if it works for this person, then it can work for me. Either I get my way or you're gonna suffer. Like, bro, you definitely need a lawyer for this one. This sounds insane. It sounds like you're dealing with a literal man-child who is just not going to listen to anything you're doing. They're not going to listen to reasoning when it's like, yeah, you have to pay 50% for plowing. You both use the road itself, and plus it's your road. Like, this all just seems incredibly unfair and just really stupid. So hopefully this works out for you, because this really would drive me crazy. I hate people who act like this, especially for problems that can be fixed very easily. Today, I just found out that my husband has been lying to me about his work hours. Specifically, that he basically chooses to work less, even though he's been blaming outside circumstances that I found out don't exist. And right now, I am so pissed off. Like, I seriously don't know what to do about this, because I seriously feel betrayed and I just don't know how to handle this. Here's what's going on. Okay, for starters, my husband of 7 years has always worked in the trades. He's great at what he does and has told me on multiple occasions that he feels happy and fulfilled in his career. He works for a small building company that is locally owned, and it pays pretty well. However, as you all know, it's getting increasingly harder and harder to make ends meet these days. We live in a very expensive city, and things are getting pricier and pricier. I should also note, I work a full-time job, like 40 hours a week, and I frequently pick up overtime shifts on my days off so that we can have a little extra money for trips or like fun activities, stuff like that. But over the past year, there have been less and less hours for my husband at work. He frequently comes home from the job site early, citing weather challenges or like that the client didn't have anything for them to do. He will tell me that the boss put it to a vote and most of the crew decided to call it a half day because of the heat or the rain or the cold or whatever might be going on. He would say, oh, we showed up to the site and there was no work, so we just called it a day. This has been a constant source of frustration because working less than 40 hours on the regular really stresses the budget. However, I realize this is out of his control. Sometimes I have brought up finding extra work, but my husband always just shuts this down. He says he's so happy at this job that he couldn't imagine finding another one, or he just doesn't believe a side hustle exists that would fit into his schedule. This total shutdown of any consideration has led to quite a few arguments. Well, his company also takes an entire month off every winter, and this is something that his boss decided. It's over the holidays, which means that not only do we have the stress of less holiday money, but my work is especially busy during this time. And this has eventually led to resentment, but again, it's outside of his control. So eventually, dear internet, we're at a company party or like a picnic event this weekend when I learned directly from his coworker that what he has been telling me is a complete lie. There have been no votes to call it early due to weather. He made that call on his own. There's been no half days because there's no work. Just I volunteer to go home early since we have too many people today. Also, the lovely holiday month off. Guess whose idea that was? In fact, he brought it up at a staff meeting with the exact words of I want a month off. And this is only after his boss asked pretty much everybody what they thought they should do during like the winter slow months. And seriously, I'm completely speechless that my husband could be so shockingly lazy and selfish. I'm feeling very angry and frankly repulsed. So seriously, how do I like have a conversation about this without my eyes glowing red? Because right now I am so pissed off that I just don't know how to handle this. Bro, I would be losing my mind if this was me. Here you are trying to like work to make ends meet. Meanwhile, your husband's like, oh, I think I'll just take a day off. We don't need to work the full day, do we? Hey, in the wintertime, let's take a full month off. Like, bro, what are we talking about? You're literally wasting time and just being lazy for no reason. You're being selfish and you're not thinking about your wife at all, dude. Like, holy crap, I would be resentful towards him as well if I was in that situation. Like, this sucks. This really sucks for the original poster. And it's especially crappy because he's just completely lying to your face. Like, sure, I can understand taking time off when you're like feeling burnt out or like something like that, but this guy's just willingly saying, oh yeah, I just want to start taking half days. Even just taking 31 days off of work just because. Like, what are we doing, dude? The least you could do is just show up to work and be like, I'm gonna sit here and get paid to do nothing, and we're gonna make ends meet, and we're gonna have rent money. Like, that's what I would do. Like, holy crap. So, to the original poster, this is completely unacceptable. Please don't take this sitting down. This is craziness. Your husband should be working just like you're doing. And I'm not saying he needs to break his back, but good lord, at least pretend like you want to work for a living, because the way he's acting right now is completely unacceptable, and it's putting you under undue stress that you really shouldn't have to deal with. My girlfriend is constantly making fun of everyone and everything in front of her. And after dealing with this for so long, it's honestly gotten really exhausting and very tiring. And at this point, I just don't know what to do about it. Here's basically what's happening. Okay, for a bit of context, we've been together for a little over a year. My girlfriend has this habit of making fun of everyone, and it's getting to be a bit much. For example, we were watching a soccer game and the goalie was squatting and she said that he looks like a frog. Some other people had a supposedly funny name and she laughed at that too. We have classmates at university university she constantly complains about and makes fun of for like the smallest things. And if we go outside to walk somewhere and she hears other people talking or on the phone and they say something out of context, she just looks at me and laughs. She once saw a guy on the metro station leaning over a railing above us on his phone, which is something completely normal, and she literally laughed at this, saying that he looked weird. If we go on holiday, she laughs at how the language sounds. She calls others cringe all the time and follows unwell people on Instagram just to laugh at them, which I don't really get and seems like such a waste of time. But the thing is, it's all starting to affect me. I used to think I was a pretty positive and accepting person, and I now find myself sometimes being very judgmental towards others for like the smallest things. I notice I'm also very reluctant to be myself around her because I'm concerned that she'll judge me. I'm aware that this is just her being herself as well, but it's getting tiring. I brought up this topic before and she got upset and started crying, saying, "You make me seem like I'm a bad person." So I hesitate to do so again. I notice that whenever I don't react to these things, like today for instance, she gets quiet and visibly upset, which she denies being. I realize that she might feel ignored, but I don't feel like laughing at the same joke that she said 100 times already, or whenever I hear a stranger say something in a funny accent. So seriously, I need some advice. Like, has anyone ever been in this situation? Because this really does feel like it's gone on too far and I just don't know how to handle this. Okay, in my opinion, anybody who describes someone as, "Oh, this is just the way she is, this is her personality," or if someone owns it and says, "This is just the way I act," like that in my opinion is a cop-out because that is not true. You're choosing to act this way, and your girlfriend is no different, dude. She's literally making the choice to be a jerk all the time. And in my opinion, yeah, your girlfriend's a massive jerk. She makes fun of people on Instagram who are unwell. She laughs at people on the street and says, "Oh wow, these people are weird," making fun of other people's languages and their accents. Like, I don't know about anyone else, but like that seems really mean and unnecessary. I can understand like the occasional like, "Oh, that was funny," but to do that to literally everyone, like holy crap, that's an entirely different level of like judgmental I don't think I've ever witnessed in my life. Because you don't need to act like that. Like, what's going on right now? She literally just doesn't respect other people at all. And I think it might be worth understanding that she's probably not going to change anytime soon. It also might be one of those scenarios where she's trying to be funny and so she's looking for you to get a reaction. And so when you don't give a reaction, she's like, "Oh man, he hates me. I'm not getting the reaction I want, so now I'm gonna get quiet and be upset." And I don't think it's because she's like ashamed of what she said. Instead, I think it's a situation where she's more upset that you didn't react to it, which is probably what she's looking for, which in my opinion is like even worse, dude. She doesn't even feel bad about this. So in my opinion, I think this is one of those things that either it does get fixed pretty quickly and she changes her behavior, or you break up with her, dude. I mean, I hate to put it so bluntly, but like, I don't know, this really seems like a line in the sand for me at least. I know if I was in your shoes, I would be like, "Dude, you have gotta stop. This has really gone on too far. You're being very mean and unkind to people for no reason." Because I don't know if anyone else remembers high school, but people who acted like this in high school were some of the most miserable people to be around. Yeah, they would get a laugh amongst these other miserable fools, but all of them collectively just hated life. And just like you're experiencing right now, where you're like, "Oh man, I'm becoming judgmental too." Like if you're not careful, your girlfriend's gonna drag you down this hole with her, and it's gonna make your life incredibly miserable. So yeah, man, the choice is yours, dude. Either stay with her and try to make it work, or break up with her. But if I was in your shoes, I would definitely be breaking up with her. Am I the jerk for humiliating my ex's new girlfriend in front of our friend group? After I clapped back at this new chick when she literally called me some terrible names, all because of a cosplay I wore at a convention. Because now there's this big controversy about this in our friend group, and I honestly just don't know what to do about it. Here's what's happening. Okay, to kick things off, I broke up with my boyfriend around 8 months ago. And for reference, I'm a 22-year-old female and my ex-boyfriend is 24 years old. We decided to mutually call it quits and parted in pretty good terms, which is good because we just so happen to share a friend group together. After a rough patch, I decided to start taking a bit more care of myself. I was eating better, going to the gym, going to therapy. The shift was pretty evident, both in my attitude and in the way that I looked. My friends said that I looked happier and healthier, and I began gaining confidence little by little. Now, I'm a huge nerd. I play Dungeons & Dragons weekly. I have thousands of hours in my favorite video game, and I like to cosplay as a hobby, and this will be much more relevant to the story than anything else. Now, most of my old cosplay involve characters that don't really show their face or their body too much. Stuff like Hornet from Hollow Knight, Mono from Little Nightmares, etc. But since I've been feeling more confident, I decided that for the big convention in my city, I'd like to try something different. Well, a friend of mine then convinced me into going as Viper and Chamber from Valorant. So for the past 6 months, we've been pouring most of our free time into the cosplays. 3 weeks ago, I sent a picture of me wearing the cosplay to a group chat, asking for feedback for like the final details, and my ex-boyfriend immediately direct messaged me, asking me to please not wear that cosplay to the convention because it might make his new girlfriend uncomfortable. I then asked him, okay, well, what would make her uncomfortable? But he refused to elaborate. Now, I knew he was dating someone new, but I didn't know she was coming with us to the convention. I tried to explain to him that this was the work of months, and I couldn't just throw it all away just because of a girl that I'd never met who might be uncomfortable about it in some weird way. In the end, I wore it to the convention, and it was a huge success. I tried to keep my distance from the larger chunk of our group because my ex and his new girl were with them, but we did spend a good part of the day with them. Throughout the whole thing, the new girl kept making snide comments at me and was even laughing when I got asked to like pose for pictures. Everyone looked incredibly uncomfortable, but you know what? Nobody said anything. After leaving the convention to go have dinner though, another friend of ours asked the new girl if she wouldn't like to try cosplay as well. Her answer was, and this is really where things start to kick off, well, why would I need more attention from guys? I already have a boyfriend. I'm not a lady of the night. And when I heard this, I snapped. I then told her to stop acting like a pick-me idiot just because I got attention all day. And when I said this, she started to cry immediately. My ex-boyfriend then steps in asking me to apologize. So I tell him, okay, I'll do it, but only if she apologizes for the way she's been acting around me all day. More and more of our friends started to join the screaming match, and it gets so bad that we ended up getting kicked out of the restaurant. Well, fast forward and it's now been 5 days. My ex is saying he's gonna leave the friend group if I don't apologize. And if I'm being completely honest, I wouldn't even care if he did. But the only thing that's holding me back is that some of our friends are asking me to do it just to keep them from leaving. So should I cave in and apologize, or am I justified? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, holy crap, this guy's an idiot. He literally is just caving into his new girlfriend and acting like, oh, I really need you to not wear that Viper cosplay. My new girlfriend's not gonna like it. And it's like, dude, how about you reel in your girlfriend and be like, hey, you need to not act like that towards my ex. We're still friends. There's nothing between us. I like you and not her. Or do something like that instead of being like, you need to apologize. Like, no, bro, she needs to apologize. She's acting crazy. She's sitting there trying to act like the original poster is trying to get their ex-boyfriend back. But it's like, no, you're literally just cosplaying. Which, by the way, I am a big proponent and like advocate for people wearing whatever they want at conventions. And just because someone wears a cosplay that might be like a little revealing, it doesn't mean they're trying to pick up a bunch of guys. It just means they're sharing their art. Like, come on, it is not like that, dude. And it's pretty obvious this new chick just doesn't understand that and refuses to see it from that perspective. This is all about sharing art. It's not about like getting attention from boys. So with that in mind, and the fact that your ex-boyfriend absolutely knows this, he should be ashamed of himself for even asking you not to wear the Viper cosplay, but also for even beginning to justify this behavior from his new girlfriend. Like, holy crap, this is unacceptable. Because if she was gonna act like this all day, then she should have stayed home. So no, you're not the jerk at all. This entire scenario falls on your ex-boyfriend and his new girlfriend because their behavior sucks and they're the ones humiliating themselves, not the other way around. Am I the jerk for suing my company for everything I possibly could after they abruptly canceled my contract I already signed with them? Because literally I had signed a lease and I had basically dropped out of school to go for this job. So for them to suddenly switch it up on me and just cancel everything completely ruined my plans and put me in a situation where I just don't know what to do anymore. Here's what happened. I'm a 25-year-old male and I got an internship at a multinational company during my senior year of college, and the facility I worked at was in a rural area with no public transportation, so I had to carpool with coworkers who use company cars. Because of this, I made a verbal agreement to work outside the hours stated in my contract, which was like 30 hours a week. Some days I worked regular business hours, and on days I had classes, I worked from home. The facility also had specific days where they worked overnight, and I would go in to help with activities during those shifts. Now, the problem started when I asked to extend my internship contract for another year, because during my initial interview, they had actually asked if I'd be willing to delay my graduation to do a second year as an intern if possible, and I had said yes. By the middle of the year, I started telling my team that I definitely wanted to extend my contract. Whenever I asked about it, they always confirmed via text messaging that they were definitely going to extend it. Meanwhile, my roommate was planning to move out, so I was waiting for the company to officially sign the contract just so I could decide my living situation. Either rent an apartment near the carpool pickup spot or move back in with my parents in another city to finish my degree. Well, the extension contract finally got signed by the company. So I went ahead and I signed a lease for an apartment, and I told my team that I'd done it since I'd be staying for another year. Almost 2 weeks later, I got a message from my manager scheduling a one-on-one meeting. When I joined the call, the coordinator in charge of the interns suddenly hopped in as a surprise and said, "Unfortunately, we won't be able to renew your contract due to some internal changes. Good thing nothing was signed yet, right?" I then started panicking because I had already signed the lease for my new apartment, and I told her that the extension contract had already been signed, but she just brushed it off and said it wouldn't be a problem. She could just cancel the extension contract itself. I then left the meeting absolutely desperate, not knowing what to do or how I was going to pay my bills. I tried reaching out to them asking to please reconsider, but I got nowhere. My contract ended, I was left unemployed, and I had to suddenly scramble. I managed to graduate, but I spent 2 months unemployed, having to pay the bills for my new apartment out of pocket while trying to find a new job in the city. Given all of this, plus the immense stress and anxiety they put me through, I decided to take them to court. When I consulted a labor lawyer, he recommended that we also sue for doing work outside the scope of an internship and to file for full employment recognition. Even though I had those informal schedule agreements with my boss, I was still working overnight shifts and helping out in hazardous areas, which interns, by the way, are legally not allowed to do here. So I ended up throwing the book at them and suing for everything I possibly could. And with that in mind, am I really the jerk in this situation? Did I go too far by firing back legally? Because I don't know what else to do here. No, you're not the jerk at all. These people screwed you over big time. Dude, if I had signed an agreement and signed a contract with these people and then signed a lease and they suddenly came back and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't hire you anymore," which by the way is after you saying I'm going to take a year off of schooling, dude, I would have sued them as well. Like I would have lost my mind on them. Because there's no way this is appropriate, dude. You can't do that to somebody. You can't just say, "Oh, we've had some internal changes, so no, we're not going to hire you," after stringing you along the entire year, which is exactly what they're doing. And thank God you have those text messages, because holy crap, what do you mean you're not going to keep me on board? I'm literally now unemployed in an apartment that I'm going to be like desperately paying for. Plus I'm still going to school, and it's like, dude, you can't do that to me. That is so unfair. So in my opinion, the act of suing these people is them getting exactly what they deserve. This is karma working that beautiful magic, baby. Because guess what? They can't just screw you over like that and expect you to sit there and just take it. That is not how this should work. And honestly, you standing up for yourself is the right move in this situation. If you like Am I the Jerk and what we're doing over here, please check out Am I the Genius. It's going to be linked down below in the description. Just click and go ahead and subscribe to them. And also, if you have your own stories you want to submit, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you want to submit your own stories. We're reading them all the time and we're picking out the best ones, so trust me, we would love to hear what you have to say. Am I overreacting for being upset at my sister after she announced her pregnancy at my graduation dinner? Because I seriously feel like my moment was completely shattered by my sister once again hijacking anything good that happens in my life. And now I just don't know what to do about this. Here's what's going on. I'm a 22-year-old female and I graduated from university last weekend after honestly one of the hardest few years of my life. I worked part-time almost the entire time I was in school. I took care of a lot of responsibilities at home and basically had no social life because I was so focused on graduating with honors. My parents were really proud and planned a nice family dinner for me at a restaurant, and this was nothing huge or fancy, just immediate family and a couple of close relatives. I was genuinely excited because my family usually doesn't make a big deal out of my accomplishments, so this really felt special. Now, my older sister has always been kind of the main character of the family, if you will. She's louder, she's more outgoing, and somehow every event becomes about her eventually. I spent years trying not to let it bother me. Now, the dinner actually started off really nice. My parents gave a toast about how proud they were, my aunt brought flowers, and for once, I felt seen. Then, right before dessert, my sister suddenly stood up smiling and said, "Well, since everyone's together, Sister, I have some good news too. She then pulled out a tiny pair of baby shoes and announced that she was pregnant. And when she said this, the entire table exploded. Everyone started crying, cheering, hugging her. They were taking photos. They were asking questions. They were moving seats to sit closer to her and all this other stuff. Within maybe 2 minutes, my graduation dinner completely turned into a pregnancy celebration. And nobody talked about my graduation again for the rest of the night. At one point, my mom literally asked the waiter if they could write "Congrats, Mommy" on the dessert plate for my sister. Meanwhile, my own graduation cake was still sitting untouched at the other end of the table. I just kind of sat there quietly while everyone focused on her, and I tried really hard not to cry because I just didn't want to ruin the mood. When we got home, my mom noticed I was quiet and asked what was wrong, and I admitted that I felt hurt that my sister chose my graduation dinner to make her announcement. Well, my sister immediately got upset and said that I should be happy for her. And now my family says I'm being selfish and dramatic because they say a pregnancy is exciting news and it's not like a graduation changes anything. My sister also said I'm too old to care about having attention for one night. What hurts the most is that I would never do that to somebody else. If I had been at her engagement dinner or her birthday or promotion, anything like that, I would have waited for my own moment instead of hijacking theirs. But now I feel guilty for even being upset because everyone's acting like I'm some kind of like jealous monster just for one dinner to stay about the thing we were supposedly celebrating. So am I the jerk here? Like, did I cross a line in some way? Because I don't know what to do here. No, you're not the jerk. Your sister sucks. Everybody like justifying this is kind of weird too because this was supposed to be about you. Like, she literally just couldn't handle the fact that you were getting attention and she wasn't. And that is obnoxious in my opinion. Like, that really does suck. And the fact that everyone's being so dismissive about it and being like, oh wow, you're being dramatic. It's not like your graduation changes anything. But it's like, dude, it changed the original poster's life. Like, holy crap, what are we talking about? This is a huge accomplishment. They went to school for years. They graduated with honors. They made a lot of sacrifices. That's not just something you glaze over, dude. You can't just be like, oh, it's not that serious. Like, no, it is serious. Like, what are we talking about? So yeah, your whole family pretty much sucks and your sister is a complete jerk for doing that. And if I was in your shoes, I would also be pretty pissed off at this. Today, I drove 4.5 hours to see my long-distance boyfriend and eat dinner with him, just for him to cancel at the last second, forcing me to travel all the way back home. And now I'm kind of wondering if I should ask him to pay for the gas because I traveled a long way, and it definitely was not cheap to drive there and then be expected to turn right back around. Here's basically what's going on. Okay, so my boyfriend lives in the state next to mine. By mileage, it should only take a couple of hours to get where he lives, but it always ends up taking a couple of hours more due to the congestion of the area. We had made plans last week to have dinner on Monday because I actually had a day off for once. Well, Monday rolls around and I leave my home and I start driving there. I made a couple of stops for a snack and some fuel later, but nothing too long. Overall, I'll say the trip probably took roughly like 4.5 hours, and I let him know that I was there and I would be getting an updated gate pass to the base where he lives. He's not in the military, but he works for the government and he's able to live on base itself. And if I'm being honest, getting the pass was way easier than I anticipated. The rules have changed since my last pass was issued, so that was a bonus. As I was getting back into my vehicle, he calls me in a panic and says, "Babe, Murphy's Law has struck and we need to reschedule. I promise I'm gonna make it up to you." I can't really go into great detail, but it was mandatory that he drive an hour in the opposite direction from his home just so he could do an interview. I then asked him how long he was gonna be, and he said he didn't know. And knowing his job, I do know that sometimes these things can take just a little bit longer, but other times it doesn't. He then told me to be safe driving back to my house. And yes, I understand that the situation was completely out of his control, but I'm also very upset with the cost of gas these days. I may as well have just tossed $100 billion into a shredder. Round trip, I spent $110 on gas. I didn't get angry with him on the phone. I meant my sense of humor about it, but I just felt defeated. He has also made no mention of rescheduling our dinner, and it has been 2 days. So would it be fair to ask him to reimburse me for the fuel I now feel that I wasted by getting there and then having to go back home without even seeing him? Because right now, I'm not sure how to broach the subject and I just don't know what to do. Holy crap, dude. First off, you're telling me that you drove 9 hours for a round trip just to have dinner? Like, why not make it a trip of some kind? Like, okay, I'm gonna spend like, I don't know, the whole weekend with you. Or I don't know, like, let's spend the week together or something like that. That's a crazy drive just to eat dinner. Like, I don't know about you, but I would not want to do that. But also, if I'm being honest, your boyfriend's kind of pissing me off. Like, dude, your girlfriend drove 4.5 hours to see you. It's not as simple as her just driving back home. That is a completely wasted day. Like, what are we talking about? That sucks, bro. So in my opinion, yeah, he needs to pay for that. He should send you some money to cover the gas that you're spending there and back for, oh, I don't know, literally no reason. That seems incredibly unfair and not something I would ever want to deal with. Did I overreact by cutting a guy out completely from my life after he made a really mean joke about my friend, essentially making fun of the fact that she's overweight? Here's what happened. I want to start this by saying that I do not personally think I'm in the wrong, but historically I can sometimes jump too quickly to extremes, and I want to know if this is an example of me doing that. Also, by the way, all names in this story are fake and they definitely have been replaced. I'm a 17-year-old guy and there's this guy who we will call Jake. He's 17 years old and I've known this dude for years, ever since we went to the same primary school. But honestly, I only really started to get close with him within the past year, all the way to the point where I had a crush on him. He asked me out, I said yes, and we'd been dating for maybe only a month when this happened. So I have this friend, we'll call her Maddie, and she's also 17, and Maddie is plus sized. Not like it matters, and I hadn't assumed it would matter to Jake either, especially considering that she's been nothing but polite to him, and also she's not the one in the relationship with him anyways. But there was a day where Jake made a joke about it to my face. It was that Wojak meme of the fridge protecting the snacks thing, where he jokingly said he was scared to approach me for a while because Maddie was like the fridge protecting me, which I would be the snack in this case. Now, I didn't let it go right away, and I asked him to explain exactly what he meant, and he just kept insisting over and over again, oh, it's just a joke, I'm just kidding. Eventually, he got frustrated that I kept pushing and admitted outright that the fridge comment was a comment on her weight because she's fat, and I swear to God, it was like every good thing I ever felt for this guy vanished. I know some people might see that as an overreaction, but I don't care. A guy making negative comments about other girls in general, even if it's in a stupid attempt to compliment me, is a glaring red flag. Never mind the fact that the comments about a close friend of mine, which makes it extra insane that he even had the guts to say this to me in the first place. But you know what? I had no issue with breaking up with him. This already wasn't a long-term relationship, and this had deeply soured my perception of him. So because of that, I felt like that was the best course of action. Now, here's where I'm wondering if I jumped too far to an extreme. On top of not wanting to date Jake anymore, I also don't want to be friends either, or even interact with him at all beyond what might be necessary. I've blocked him on everything and I'm refusing to engage with him at all. His friends have started calling me childish and petty for it because it was just one dumb joke, but my stance is this. Number one, I don't have to be friends with anyone I don't want to be friends with. Number two, Jake made a comment about my best friend's weight behind her back, and he said this to my face, thinking I would laugh with him. On top of the joke itself being some weird incel rhetoric, I refuse to get involved with that, and I think it speaks to what other kind of crap he says in private that he thinks is funny. And number three, I see it as being extra insulting to Maddie if I remain friendly with a guy who was so comfortable saying rude crap about her. I have no interest in keeping up a friendship with him as it is, especially if it means potentially hurting her or losing my friendship with her. I've been close to her for years and she's the best, most fun, and most intelligent person I know. But still, I will concede that it was just one comment intended as a joke. I mean, I'm not getting back together with him for sure, but was cutting him out entirely when he still wanted to be friends too far? Or am I in the right that this speaks to other potential behaviors and maybe beliefs as well? I have no idea if I'm jumping too quickly to conclusions, which is honestly very possible. I mean, I am prone to do that, especially as this is a situation that has personally angered me a lot. I feel literally insane right now with how hostile his friends are being to me about this, and at this point I just don't know what to do. Okay, in my opinion, I think what you did was very mature. Seriously, the fact that this guy was like, oh, your friend's fat and I'm gonna make fun of her for it. That's incredibly inappropriate. It's also very immature. I don't blame you for breaking up with him. This doesn't sound like a good guy, and it kind of seems like he has a lot of growing up to do. So no, you're not the jerk. I don't think these are good people. I don't think these are the kind of people you want to be around, and I think cutting him and his friends off was completely understandable, and in my opinion, it was really smart. Am I the jerk for refusing to massage my male professor when he asked privately? Because the way he went about doing this was really creepy and kind of set off some red flags. And at this point, I just don't know what to do. Here's what happened. To start things off, I'm a psychology major, and for the past few months, I've been doing relaxation massages on the side to make some extra money for rent and school. Well, last week, my one professor who's in his mid-50s privately messaged me after seeing my Instagram story. He said he's been having really bad shoulder pain and even offered to pay me $300 for a session at his house. And when I saw this, I immediately felt uncomfortable, and I just politely declined, saying that I only take clients through proper bookings, and I don't do private home visits with people I know from school. He then replied by saying, "It's just a massage, don't overthink it," and has been a bit cold in lectures ever since then. Well, one of my classmates who knows about it thinks I'm overreacting and turning down easy money. I really feel like I set a healthy boundary, but now I'm worried it might affect my grade or my class experience. experience. So seriously, am I the jerk here? Because I really just don't know if I made a mistake or not. Oh my gosh, this is a giant walking red flag, dude. Your professor was looking for something way more than just a massage. First off, why is he stalking you on Instagram? Can we talk about that for a second? Your professor in his mid-50s who's teaching a class that you're taking, one of probably like, I don't know, 50 students, suddenly just pops up in your DM? Like, what are we talking about? Why is he looking you up on Instagram? That's creepy and that's weird. I don't care what you say. And also, like, let's look at the facts here. He's paying you probably way more than you usually get an hour, and he's saying, yeah, come to my house and give me a massage. Like, that's a 2-for-1 special when it comes to strikes, because this guy is definitely hoping something else happens, if you know what I mean. And I don't think it's just gonna be a shoulder massage. I think Mr. Psychology Professor is looking for just a little bit of extra, if you know what I'm talking about. Like, holy crap, this guy could get a massage for like, I don't know, maybe like $75 if I were to guess, at like some crappy place down the street. But no, he wants his student to do it. And you know what? Oh, he's such a generous person. He's gonna pay you $300. He did that as bait so he could get you to his house. Like, holy crap, this is inappropriate. So no, you're not the jerk for refusing to massage this guy. This guy literally offered you $300 without knowing any of your prices. That's crazy in my opinion, and it's absolutely unacceptable. Am I overreacting for wanting to call off my wedding? All because of the way my fiance treated me on vacation. Because for me, this felt like a giant red flag, and it's making me rethink pretty much everything. And now I really just don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so just as a prelude, my family situation is complicated to say the least. So I really have a terrible reference point for healthy long-term relationships if I'm being completely honest. My parents have been divorced 5 times between the both of them. My dad's been divorced twice and my mom 3 times. And if that doesn't give you a good insight into what I'm going to describe, then I don't know what else will. Anyways, the reason for this post is that me, a 31-year-old male, and my fiance who's 30 years old, just got back from a vacation to celebrate her graduation from college and her getting a job in her field. We have been together for 6 years, and as she is an immigrant to the United States, with none of her credits transferring over, she has been in college for 8 years to get her degree. I began planning and budgeting 2 trips back in January to Tampa and to LA, and once I had rough budgets and itineraries, I showed them off to her, and I let her pick which trip she would rather go on. I have a pretty good job, but with supporting both of us while in school, and our wedding coming up later this year, I was only able to budget a 5-day, 4-night trip to either location. Once I showed her both options, she immediately picked LA, which is absolutely not a surprise, and then she began adding in her own ideas for what to do. After that, I booked everything for the trip, and besides a slight hiccup in getting our passport cards, we were ready to go and got there on the first day bright and early at like 9 in the morning. Now, the first day went fantastic, and we hit more than what we wanted to do on that day, but the real issue really started on day 2. I had just drove us over to Santa Monica to have breakfast before we explore the pier. We got seated outside on their patio, and the very second that the waiter left, she turned to me and actually started to grill me about the length of the vacation. She looked at me and said, "Why only 5 days? You only did it because you're used to white people holidays, aren't you? It's a waste of money to come here for only 5 days. It's so stupid." And she really only stopped when the waiter came by to like take our order. Thankfully, the restaurant was fairly empty, so it wasn't too public. But still, I could tell people walking by could overhear our conversation. When I asked why she was only bringing this up now, she just said that she was too busy with school to look at the itinerary, even though she had made a ton of changes to the plan. And if I'm being honest, it really just set the tone for the rest of the vacation. She would bring it up anytime we were stuck in traffic, which, I mean, this is Los Angeles we're talking about, so this was near constant. Or she would talk about it while waiting in line for the Getty or the Griffith Observatory. When I didn't take pictures to her liking, she would sulk and then tell me there isn't enough time for me to take this many bad photos. But regardless, I still tried to have a great time, and we did a ton of stuff in the days that we had. But still, it was a miserable cloud over every hour that passed. But now, coming back and thinking on it, it seems insanely disrespectful and very rude to yell at your fiance that planned, booked, and paid for the trip, you know, the one that was cross-country to celebrate your graduation, all because it wasn't as long as you wanted it to be. I have tried to talk to her about it, but her response is to say, "How lucky are you that I am so good, this is what you have to complain about," which honestly makes me question committing the rest of my life to be with her. There have been other things too, obviously, that are in line with this, but I'm just making this post because as someone who has seen so many failed relationships in my family, and with no time for a therapist, I'm just a guy checking on whether canceling a wedding over this is even remotely in line. Because seriously, at this point, I don't know what to do. Okay, honestly, I don't think you should cancel your wedding over this. Like, this is a stretch if you're like, oh, you didn't like the vacation and you were being rude, time to not get married. Like, I don't know, that's a jump in my opinion. Because sure, she does sound like a miserable person and very ungrateful, but like, maybe there's other redeeming qualities. I don't know. I don't think this should be like the one benchmark of like, oh, I'm not marrying this woman. There could have been so many other factors that are going into this. Like, I don't know. In my opinion, I think this shouldn't be the reason why you're not wanting to marry her anymore. But if anything, definitely let it be the reason why you're questioning it. Because dude, that is a gut instinct you don't want to ignore. Like, hold on to that one, bro. You really need to make sure that this is right for you. Because you said it yourself, you don't want to like get married to someone you're going to be miserable with. I know I wouldn't want to do that. Like, holy crap. Because if anything, just let this be a silver lining of like, hey, I need to reconsider this relationship, instead of making it like the make or break, because I think that would be very unwise. Today, I am pretty much convinced that my friend is faking his own death just to avoid talking to me ever again, as I got a really cryptic text message from his phone that honestly has me in shambles, because right now I really just don't know what to do. Welcome back to Am I the Jerk? This is some crazy behavior, dude. The original poster in this first one is dealing with someone who is potentially taking like the craziest measures possible just to avoid talking to them ever again. And we're talking like possibly faking your own death kind of thing. So really get ready for this one. It is incredibly weird. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk, turn on notifications by clicking the bell, and with that, let's get started. Okay, I want to start off by saying that I had not heard from my friend in about a month, so I sent over a text just checking in. I then got a response in the middle of the night from a supposed family member saying that they had passed away the day after I last spoke to them. Now, I of course was torn to bits. I cried and kept reading the message over and over, just in denial of all of it. However, as I kept reading, I realized that the family member who texted me is texting exactly the same way that my friend did. I also got the text around the same time they usually text me, as they work overnight. But then I realized that I had texted them from their work phone, which is the very device that no one should have access to due to like the security of their job. Like, if they did pass, the phone should have been turned in by now. So with this in mind, I got to work. I looked for obituaries, but there was nothing at all. I looked for death certificates, but again, I found nothing. I sent over my condolences and I asked if there was a service for them, and they told me they did have a service, and they even told me where my friend was buried. And once again, this is like the normal time my friend would be texting me due to their schedule, and not for like a normal person working a regular 9-to-5 job. I then called another friend to vent because I was just in a very bad frame of mind, and I had recently lost a family member earlier this year, so things were really just starting to pile up for me. He then called the cemetery for me, and they said they had no one under their name that was buried there. And honestly, at this point, I am crushed. We didn't have any issues the last time we spoke, and if they didn't want to be friends anymore, I would have much appreciated that instead of thinking this. I don't know, I feel like I overreacted, and perhaps I'm just in a deep state of denial, but deep down, I kind of feel like they're not really dead. And just to clear some things up, yes, we were online friends, but we met once and called a few times, so I know at least they're real. We've known each other for about a year now. We used to talk every single day, but due to stress and personal issues, they kind of dwindled to every so often. And no, I don't really know any of his family members personally, but I know of a few specific and only a couple by name. And no, I haven't tried contacting them, and they haven't even like responded to my last message, where I'm essentially just trying to call their bluff and be like, hey, cut this crap out. Basically saying that I wouldn't contact them again. It's all so confusing and very frustrating, and at this point, I really just don't know what to do. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. If your friend really is alive and they fake their own death just to stop talking to you, that is like unbelievably horrible. I don't even know what to say there, because crap, dude, that is crazy. Like, in my opinion, if you really think they're faking it and you're like, dude, I kind of want to know what's going on, then for me personally, I would start contacting people and be like, do you know any information about this? Kind of like the cemetery situation where it's like, okay, we called the cemetery and it's like no one under that name was buried there. So to that extent, I think you might be right. Like, I really think your friend is faking their death instead of being like, hey, I don't want to be friends anymore. And my God, dude, that is so messed up. You do not deserve that. I also want you to like accept the fact that if this guy tries to come back and be like, oh, it was just a joke, I was joking around, please just promise me that you will not forgive him or be like, oh, it's okay, I'm glad I have my friend back. Because dude, this is not someone you want to be friends with. This is not a good person. This is an actual psychopath. Like, by the way, in case you're wondering, this is insane behavior. Like, it's crazy to pretend like you're dead just to avoid talking to somebody, instead of just being like, hey, I don't want to be friends anymore, I don't want to talk to you, please don't contact me. me. Like, that would have been simple. You don't just sit there and be like, oh yeah, he died. I'm one of his family members saying that he's buried at this cemetery. Sorry about the bad news at, oh, what's that? 1 o'clock in the morning? My bad. Like, bro, this guy's texting at the time he gets off work, and he's trying to pretend like, oh yeah, I'm a family member. I'm not actually your friend from a year ago. Like, dude, that is some crazy behavior. So in my opinion, if that really is the case, where this guy's taking this toxic stance, then I don't think you should have any remorse about contacting his family or even his job and being like, is this guy dead? I was told that he's dead. Like, is he dead? Because you deserve the right to know. Like, at this point, you deserve to know whether it's true or not. Because in this situation, you really can have closure about what really happened. And I would much rather know the truth about the entire situation than be left in the dark by some toxic idiot. If you like Am I the Jerk and what we're doing over here, please check out Am I the Genius. It's going to be linked down below in the description. Just click and go ahead and subscribe to them. And also, if you have your own stories you want to submit, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you want to submit your own stories. We're reading them all the time and we're picking out the best ones, so trust me, we would love to hear what you have to say. Am I the jerk for bringing down my coworkers with me after it became abundantly clear that I was getting punished for stuff they definitely were not getting punished for? Because now that we're all playing by the same rules at work, suddenly I'm the enemy at the restaurant we work at, and at this point I just don't know what else to do. Here's what's happening. Okay, so I recently started working at a restaurant where there is a dress code. Initially, I was pretty good about it, but if I'm frank, the shorts feel a bit too short for me and the shirt is sort of itchy. After a couple of weeks, I noticed that I was literally the only one wearing the uniform most of, if not all the time. So I just started to be more like relaxed with it until eventually I stopped altogether. Pretty soon though, my manager grilled me about it, so I made sure to always be wearing my outfit unless I forgot or was out of laundry. But meanwhile, everybody else remained in plain clothing. His attitude continued on with other stuff, mainly being late or asking for days off, but last month I had to ask for a Saturday off, all due to a family emergency, as well as next Wednesday and Saturday. I did so in front of a coworker, and although dismissive, he said to me, yeah, I get it, whatever. Well, that Saturday morning, I got spam called and texted by him. And when I came in on Sunday, he grilled me about not coming into work. And when I explained to him the situation, he just denied it and really looked at me and tried to say that I asked for next week and not that week. I even got my coworker who overheard to vouch for me, and you know what? He still got upset. So he instead said that it was my fault for not being specific enough and being disrespectful. Now, here's where I might be the jerk. I then got pretty mad and I said that he always berates me and he only disciplines me. He yells at me for being late, for calling off due to emergencies, and for forgetting my outfit. But he also never bats an eye when someone comes in a full hour later to opening shifts, or if they call off due to going to like a concert. And then on top of all of that, I pointed out that how out of everyone present, I was the only one in any kind of work attire, but he wasn't disciplining them. Well, in the end, that did work and the conversation went nowhere, but my coworkers who overheard it called me a jerk for bringing them down with me, and for apparently throwing them under the bus when they were not involved. And now I'm getting the silent treatment and being shunned. So seriously, was I really the jerk here? And if so, how could I have handled it better? Because honestly, I don't know what else to do here. Okay, in my opinion, if you're getting singled out at work, and you are literally the scapegoat for your manager's problems, then congratulations, everybody gets to be in trouble. And yes, that includes the coworkers who are watching you get disciplined for no reason. Like, oh, suddenly we're friends just because you have to do stuff that I'm being forced to do? Like, no, I don't think so. Where was our friendship before where you could have like, oh, I don't know, stood up for me and said, hey, why are you treating him like that? Stop being so mean to my coworker. Because you were so happy previously to whistle past the graveyard and say nothing and still show up to work late and like call out for concerts. Meanwhile, I'm being dragged through the rocks and the gravel all because of like what? I don't wear this stupid outfit that, by the way, no one else wears at work. Seriously, what are we doing here? There's some clear like favoritism and you're obviously being targeted. So honestly, at that point, if I'm going down, then yeah, so is everybody else. I could care less if I'm the jerk. Like, congratulations. Now you get to know exactly how I feel every single day at work. So no, you're not the jerk. Screw that. None of these people came to your defense, and honestly, they're only talking to you now because you said something. And if they really don't like the way they're getting treated, then they can look to the manager, because this is all going back to him and not you. Am I the jerk for wanting to cut off my friend after she accused my boyfriend of showing off just by paying for my birthday dinner? Because when she did that, it was incredibly awkward. And I'm now considering like not talking to her anymore, and at this point, I don't know what else to do. Here's what happened. Okay, for starters, it was my birthday and I wanted to celebrate it only with us girls. I have a boyfriend and we talked beforehand, and I told him that if he felt comfortable, he could come and sit with us. However, he said that we would celebrate together just the two of us later, and that I should just enjoy my time with the girls separately. Now I said, of course, babe, no questions. Everything is completely fine. And so with that, the day finally came. There were 5 of us in total, including me. We ordered mains, appetizers, cocktails, and had a great time overall. When we were already supposed to leave, my boyfriend walked into the restaurant by himself. He said hello to everybody and asked me if we were finished. And I said, yes, we are done. And we were about to get ready now. He then said, okay, I'll go ahead and close out the check and you guys get ready. I'll carry the gifts and the flowers to the car. And I said, fine. And he went to pay the bill to the administrator. My friends and I then drank the last sips of our cocktails and started getting ready slowly. Now, just as we were leaving, my boyfriend came up to take the boxes. But then suddenly one of my girlfriends said to him, oh, so did you just want to show off in front of us like that? Someone's a bit too cool. And I didn't really understand this. So I said to her, hey, let's step aside and talk for a second. And I really just didn't understand her question. Now, my boyfriend apparently either didn't hear this or it just passed him by completely. Because in the end, he just took those boxes and carried them to the car. Like he didn't even turn around. When we stepped aside, I asked her what she meant. And she said to me, listen, I have nothing against you or your man. The fact that he closes the check on your birthday is basically normal. But it's like, okay, why was it necessary to say this in front of all of us? I then told her that I didn't think it could hurt anyone. Like I really didn't want to show off. Plus, they all know that my boyfriend closes checks for me in many places and always gives me gifts. We've been together for 3.5 years already. It all happens openly. So why is she saying such things? She then replied by saying, well, it's good that he didn't name the amount in front of us at least. And I then told her that she understood everything wrong and it honestly wasn't like that at all. She then admitted that for her, it looked exactly like that since she is single and doesn't have a boyfriend like him. And now I'm honestly overthinking her words. Like it feels like she is just projecting her own loneliness and jealousy onto my relationship. And I'm honestly thinking about distancing myself and cutting back on our communication because her comment felt really toxic and it seriously ruined my birthday mood. So am I the jerk for wanting to minimize contact with her over this? Because I really don't know what to do anymore. Yeah, I gotta be honest, this would be a deal breaker for me. Like, there's no way this is okay. Like, first of all, yeah, she's absolutely jealous of you. She hates the fact that your boyfriend likes you and actually wants to take care of you. And, you know, like, I don't know, spoil you on your birthday. Like, what's the deal here? Thank God this guy's oblivious and was like, okay, I'm gonna carry the boxes to the car and we're gonna move on with our lives. Because if someone said that to me, I absolutely would not have backed down. I would have been like, yeah, I'm gonna take care of my girlfriend on, oh, I don't know, her birthday. Why are you upset, lady? Go get a boyfriend. Like, what's the problem here? Like, it was completely unnecessary for her to walk up and be like, oh wow, you're paying for everything. Good for you. You just had to show off, didn't you? And it's like, dude, nobody's showing off. This is just literally how their relationship is. He pays for stuff all the time. Like, this is really not that big of a deal. So no, you would not be the jerk for wanting to cut this friend out of your life and slowly move away from her. She sounds super toxic, and in my opinion, she is the kind of person who would try to like ruin your relationship. Just this nasty, spiteful person who's jealous of everybody. And if you're not careful, that kind of energy absolutely will rub off on you. And that sounds like a terrible time, and I would never want to put up with that. Am I overreacting by feeling hurt after my friend ended a 6-year friendship after I tried to set some personal boundaries with the way he was treating me? Because now after it's all said and done, I feel very conflicted and I just don't know what to do. Here's what's going on. Okay, so I was friends with a guy for about 6 years. He comes from a culture and personality background where punctuality and correctness are taken very seriously, and I genuinely try to be understanding about that. For example, even checking my phone briefly during dinner, literally for like maybe 5 seconds, would suddenly be seen as rude by him, and he would comment on it. He would also publicly correct me over small things. One recent example was at a cafe when he suddenly told me another woman was in front of me in line and that I had cut ahead, even though she had actually walked away and wasn't in line in the first place to look at coffee cups, and then later confirmed I was already there first. There was also a separate incident on an important occasion of mine where he rolled his eyes at another person about me in a way that genuinely felt disrespectful and dismissive. So for me, it wasn't just one correction. It became an overall feeling that I was being nitpicked or looked down on sometimes. I finally brought it up calmly and explained that some of these things were making me feel disrespected. I wasn't attacking him or calling him a bad person. In fact, throughout the entire conversation, I was trying to keep the peace and smooth things over. I'm trying to reach a peaceful resolve, and that I understood that some of this could be cultural or personality differences, and that I could understand his perspective. But also, I just hoped that he could also understand mine. When he was denying things or twisting things or reacting angrily, I just got upset too and had strong reactions. So I reacted too once I felt invalidated. But honestly, what really shocked me was his reaction. Instead of saying something like, I didn't mean it that way, or trying to discuss it, he basically said that he wasn't going to change it. It's literally just how he is. If he thinks something is incorrect in public, he always is going to say it. He also became very defensive and denied or twisted details of things that had happened. And the whole time I had to justify myself and basically talk in like an apologetic way when I'm the one facing the injustice. I kept trying to calm the situation down, and I even said I could accept that he might never fully change these habits. But then he said he felt cornered by the conversation. I also repeatedly told him that I didn't think he was a bad person at all, and that I didn't think the situation needed to become so black and white. I was basically trying to explain how certain things made me feel and hope that we could understand each other better. We had a long discussion, and the cherry on the cake is when he corrected me in public. At that time, my phone rang and he actually told me, "You're not going to take that call right now, right?" Which I obviously wasn't. But when he said this, it really pissed me off because I had just said that correcting behavior bothers me, and I got really angry for a split second, and at that moment, he ended the friendship entirely right there. So am I overreacting by feeling hurt by this and feeling like this 6-year friendship should not have escalated into ending over something so small? Because right now, I seriously just don't know what to do. Okay, dude, you do not need to be friends with this person. First off, this guy probably doesn't even consider you a friend. He clearly gets off on having control and power over other people, which is probably the only reason he calls out behavior he doesn't like, or oh yeah, if something's not right, I'm just gonna say it. Because dude, what a toxic piece of garbage. You shouldn't treat your friends like that and be like, oh yeah, my standards are now your standards. Also, big hint here, if someone says to you, oh, this is just the way I am and I'm not gonna change, that in my opinion is a huge red flag because anybody can change. It's not a personality quirk to be an insufferable loser all the time. If anything, it just means you're a terrible person to be around, and it makes me question how anybody could put up with your garbage. And also, who is this person to be chastising you in public and correcting you? That is so weird, and there's no reason for that. So I would not mourn the loss of this friendship because it can hardly even be called a friendship in the first place. This guy sounded like a controlling jerk, and you definitely don't need that in your life. Am I the jerk for threatening to quit my job? All because I'm basically doing everything for less than half of what my boss makes. Because I'm super frustrated with being underpaid at my job. And at this point, I just don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. To start things off, I'm an assistant at a pretty well-known company, and I put in 12 hours of work a day. My title is assistant, but honestly, I'm running the department. I handle about 90% of the daily tasks, from client interactions, scheduling, reports, deadlines. I mean, you name it, I'm doing it. My boss, on the other hand, who's a guy in his late 30s, just shows up for the big meetings, takes all the credit, and rubber stamps things I've already prepared and worked on late into the night. He gets a pretty good salary, full benefits, bonuses, a company car allowance, literally the whole package. Meanwhile, I'm severely underpaid, and that just doesn't feel right to me. After taxes, I take home less than half of what he does, maybe around 40% of his take-home pay. I get basic health insurance and absolutely no perks. There's no bonus structure, and I don't get overtime pay, even though I regularly work 12-hour days and weekends when things get hectic. I've been here for almost 2 years. I've asked for a raise twice, and both times I was told the budget is tight and that they would revisit it in 6 months, but nothing ever changes. Well, last week during our quarterly review, I laid out everything I do. I presented the numbers and politely pointed out how ridiculous the pay disparity is given, especially considering the workload that I carry. My boss then got defensive and called me entry level and said he earned his compensation over time. And at this point, I finally lost it. I said to him, if this is how the company values me, then I'm going to have to start looking somewhere else. I can't keep doing a senior level job on an assistant salary. He then told me I was being dramatic and unprofessional for saying I was going to quit. And now a couple of coworkers who don't have anywhere near my workload are saying I crossed a line, and that threatening to leave makes me seem really entitled, especially since the company is popular and many people would jump at the chance to have their name on their resume. So am I the jerk for handling it the way that I did? Because right now I'm not sure what to do. Okay, in my opinion, this was really a mistake. Seriously, this was not a good move. The first thing you need to remember with any job is that you are very replaceable, especially at what they consider an entry-level position. And I totally get it. You're doing a lot of work, you're working hard, you're not being compensated, and you're working 12-hour days. Trust me, I get it. That is exhausting. But if you really think for a second they couldn't replace you tomorrow, you're crazy. Anybody can be replaced, literally at the drop of a hat. And the fact that you're saying, oh, I can't do this, maybe I should should quit my job and go work somewhere else. Like, brother, that's like the kiss of death. Your days are numbered because now you've shown your boss that no, there's no longevity with this employee. They're not going to be happy until they're making my amount of money, even though that guy's probably been in that job for a long time. He earned that right to have that amount, and that's just the way it is. So yeah, in my opinion, this does make you seem really entitled. Like, your feelings are valid, and I think you're completely right. I think you should be paid more. But if you want to play the corporate ladder and like climb it in an effective way, then holy crap, making threats about quitting your job just because you're not getting the money you want is not a good look. So in the meantime, I think it's probably better just to work the hours that you're given, don't work any more overtime, and just do your job as described. And then on the side, start looking for anything else. Because brother, you have put a target on your back. You unfortunately tried to posture yourself as someone who's high value in the company when in reality, they could replace you tomorrow with literally anybody else. And I'm not just saying that, like, I've seen it happen and it could absolutely happen to you as well. Today, I got some petty revenge on my bully by doing the exact same book report that she did, only to prove that she never even read it, resulting in me getting the highest grade possible, whereas my bully ended up failing entirely, which honestly felt incredibly satisfying, especially when you consider how awful she treated me. Here's what happened. Okay, so I had a bully who I will call Jackie, and she was a terrible person. We're talking beyond mean girl. She was one of those popular kids who would go out of her way to be deliberately cruel, and she loved to pick on me. We went to Catholic school, so we had the same classmates all 8 years. And she rode my bus, so there was literally no escaping her. On top of that, she was also dumb and very lazy. Now, I was an extremely shy and quiet kid, almost completely silent, and I used to read a lot. So I was reading several levels above my grade. Well, our 6th grade teacher, who I will call Sister Louise, assigned us a monthly book report. You could either hand in a written report or do a little craft thing like a diorama and a short presentation on top of it. The papers were due on Friday, but presentations were during our English period for the week preceding the Friday due dates. A couple of months into the school year at the beginning of the week, Jackie did her presentation of a book that was maybe a 4th grade reading level, but she had obviously never read the book or even the synopsis on the back cover. So her presentation was a story that she made up based on the picture on the front cover. Well, that same day, it seemed like she was especially horrible to me on the bus going home, and I was angry at that and her blatant cheating. Like, are you kidding me? She couldn't even bother to read like a little kid's chapter book. I had read that book a while ago, so I remember the story, but I also checked it out from the public library and I skimmed it just to refresh my memory of certain parts. I then did my very in-depth book report on that same book, pointing out some minute details and making sure that it was obviously not the plot Jackie had presented. Well, I ended up getting a 100% on that report, and Jackie only got 25%, because at least she had done the diorama, but that was not nearly enough. And at this point, her mother had to have a meeting with Sister Louise, and after that, Sister Louise then decided that we had to choose a book from the 6th grade reading list or get our book pre-approved. And you know what? A lot of the other kids were mad that they couldn't choose an easy book anymore, all because of Jackie. Now, Jackie was ranting and raving on the bus that she got caught because someone else did a report on the same book. But I don't think she ever even suspected me because I was the kid who always had my nose buried in far more advanced books. And I think they assumed that I had done a report on one of those. But Sister Louise knew exactly what I had done, because I had to get my next book approved, and she gave me a very pointed look and a smirk when she said, "Yes, this seems to be a book that is more in line with your reading level." And I would like to think that she was kind of proud that I fought back in the only way the quietest shy kid knew how to do. And honestly, overall, it was incredibly satisfying, and I can't think of a better person to get in trouble than Jackie. Okay, I love this so much because I was also one of those kids that got bullied, and I love the fact that you got back at her in a way that really hit home, because you doing the report very clearly proved that she didn't know what she was doing. So I love that for you. I think that's a great way to get revenge, and honestly, it sounds like this bully absolutely deserved it. My boyfriend's 2 best friends gave me a swirly after my boyfriend stepped out for just a minute, as they literally ambushed me as I was walking out of the bathroom. And now I feel humiliated and so embarrassed because at this point, I haven't even told my boyfriend about it. And I'm now worried that if I do say something, it's going to destroy our entire friend group. And so with all that in mind, I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because I really don't know what to do about this. Welcome back to Am I the Jerk? Bro, this first story is wild. Just when I thought like situation situations couldn't be that bad. I read stories like this and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is horrifying. So subscribe to Am I the Jerk if you haven't already. Take a seat and relax because this first story is a doozy. Let's get started. All right, I want to start off by saying that this is genuinely the most humiliating thing to ever happen to me. So basically, one night, my boyfriend and I and his friends were all hanging out and the topic of swirlies came up. And for those who don't know, it's where you put someone's head in a toilet and then you flush it. I mentioned how I used to be curious what it felt like, and then one of his friends offered to give me one as a joke, maybe. Honestly, at this point, I don't even know. And obviously, I refused it and we dropped the subject. Well, a few weeks later, we were all hanging out again, and my boyfriend left to go pick up some of the herb with another friend, if you know what I mean, leaving me with friend A and friend B. I'll call them Aaron and Brian for the sake of the story. I used the bathroom just to go number one, and when I opened the door to leave, they both bombarded me. I was trying to get away and literally begging them not to because I realized what they were doing. But we were all just completely drunk and they thought it was funny. And so yeah, long story short, they gave me a swirly. And my God, I felt so humiliated. They clearly thought it was funny, and after I cleaned myself up a little bit, I cried in the bathroom, all before returning to the living room. My boyfriend wasn't even there to witness it, and I still haven't even told him about it. Like, I'm literally too embarrassed. And also, they haven't said anything overt about it either. Just subtle jokes here and there when we hang out. And right now, I feel like a pathetic school-age kid getting bullied. Like, it's insane. Like, I didn't know this actually happened to people, especially in their mid-20s. And right now, I don't know what to do. I want to tell my boyfriend, but I'm worried that he'll laugh at me or not take it serious. Or if I say something, I might ruin our group friendship. I also want to tell them that it bothered me, but I don't know if they'd apologize or just think it's funny. I think it's clear that I didn't think it was funny, but I didn't openly cry or anything like that in front of them, so this hasn't really been addressed. I do want to say though that I feel like they treat me and view me as like a little sister, but at this point I can barely bring myself to look them in the eyes when we hang out. All I keep replaying is the feeling of their hands on the back of my neck and my head, them laughing, the flushing, all of it. I feel so disgusted and embarrassed all the time. It makes me feel sick to my stomach, like I've never been this humiliated in my entire life. And at this point I seriously just don't know what to do. Okay, holy crap, I really don't know how to help people like the original poster because this is easy, dude. You tell your boyfriend and then, in my opinion, you tell the police. Because my God, this is so messed up on so many levels. First of all, they put their hands on you, which they have no right to do. They waited until your boyfriend wasn't there to do it, and now they're almost like, I don't know, lording it over you in a way that like makes you feel like, oh, I can't say anything. And that's inappropriate. That's absolutely not okay because they shouldn't have done that. Like, they attacked you. That's all that happened here. Whether they find it funny or not, this is unacceptable. Like, I can only put myself in the boyfriend's shoes. Like, if this happened to my girlfriend, dude, I would lose my mind. I would not want to be friends with them anymore. I would destroy them, bro. Like, nothing would contain my rage if someone did that to my girlfriend. And yeah, you can look at this and be like, oh, that's so funny. But no, it's not funny. You can't do that to someone. Like, people have been so programmed by movies and television shows where they're like, oh, well, people get swirlies all the time. But it's like, no, they don't. What are we talking about? The original poster literally made a comment in like a joking manner. They didn't give these two idiots a license to give her a swirly. Like, holy crap. She was just saying it probably as a side comment of like, oh, that'd be fun. But of course she didn't mean it. Like, no one means that. And also, I think if you're really worried about like this friend group falling apart, bro, let it fall apart. These people suck. Why would you want to maintain any kind of friendship with these people? Also, why would you want to help them save face? This is horrifying. They deserve to be shamed for this. They deserve to get in trouble. Like, this is absolutely not okay. And also, if your boyfriend thinks it's funny or if he doesn't take you seriously, then that's all you need to know, bro. That is like the exact thing you needed to see. Because if he just laughs it off and says, oh, they're just joking around, or doesn't do anything besides, oh, let me address this real quick, then he is not the guy for you. Trust me when I say this. You don't want to be with a boyfriend who allows you to get swirlied and does nothing about it. That's weird, that's creepy, and that is unacceptable. So bro, say something. Say anything to somebody. Shout it from the rooftops that you got assaulted, because that's exactly what happened and that is not okay. If you like Am I the Jerk and what we're doing over here, please check out Am I the Genius. It's going to be linked down below in the description. Just click and go ahead and subscribe to them. And also, if you have your own stories you want to submit, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you want to submit your own stories. We're reading them all the time and we're picking out the best ones, so trust me, we would love to hear what you have to say. Would I be the jerk if I told my friend to shut up about her wishing she could join me on a trip I was taking? Because I'm convinced on the entire ride over to the airport, that is literally all she's gonna do. And at this point, I'm just not sure if that would be a mistake, and I just don't know how to handle this. Here's what's happening. Okay, for a bit of backstory, I'm a 31-year-old female, and I'm going to England in about a month for 3 weeks. I've worked really hard to save up for this trip, and I worked on my health just to be able to go. Now, I have this one friend who I will call Ash, who is about the same age as me, who I've known for years now, that has always wanted to go. But I didn't ask her to join because I know how she is. We both are on the spectrum, but she has a lot more difficulties than me. She has to plan everything to the letter, and once she gets stuck on a subject, she just can't get off of it. Her and her family are decently well off. They go on trips all the time, they go on cruises, and they go overseas. But on the other hand, this is like my first and probably only trip I'll ever be able to have. I'm aware that her family won't let her travel overseas by herself, and that this is on her bucket list, but I still didn't invite her to come along. I have kept my mouth mostly shut about the trip to not get her jealous or even get her started on like wanting to go. If she did go with me though, I have no doubt that not only would she like have to plan everything, but her parents wouldn't allow her to do certain things in her itinerary, which means I most likely wouldn't be able to do it either. Her parents have agreed to take me to the airport because the closest one is a few hours away, and I'm truly grateful for this, but I then found out today that Ash has taken off that day so that she can ride along. I know for a fact that she won't stop saying that she wishes she could join, and that I should check out this or that. And if I make a comment of what I'm planning to do, she'll definitely go on and on about it. I absolutely love her, but I'm afraid I'm gonna snap and tell her to shut up. I've never been on a plane, and this is a 22-hour trip where there's no layover. I just know I'm gonna be mentally tired, and I'm already like kind of psyching myself up that I can do this. So would I be the jerk if I did snap at my friend and tell her to like shut up? Because I'm just convinced that she's gonna say something awful, and I really just don't know what to do. Okay, in my opinion, if she's gonna be a part of like the trip over to the airport, I would really caution against like telling her to be quiet or shut up or anything like that. Like seriously, don't be weird about this. Just be like kind and gracious for the ride, and just take what she's saying with a grain of salt and be like, oh, okay, that's cool, and just be nice about it. There really is no reason to snap at her and be like, just shut up, Ash, what are you talking about? This is my trip, not yours. Like, it's just a quick ride to the airport and then you're off doing your own thing. Don't ruin the mood by snapping at your friend. Like, if she really is your friend, then just be kind and gracious. Because if you come at this in like a hostile manner, then it's probably only going to cause problems. Am I the jerk for wanting to break up with my boyfriend? All because he literally never has enough money for pretty much anything. Because right now I'm very frustrated and I seriously just don't know what else to do. Here's what's happening. Okay, so I've been dating my boyfriend for about 6 months now. We are long distance, but we always make an effort to see each other, so there's really no issue there. The real issue though is that I primarily pay for everything that we do together, and I'm talking like almost all of the time. Now, in his defense, he did let me know early on that he does not make a ton of money. However, he also chooses to live in one of the nicest apartments in town, and also loves the idea of living a lavish lifestyle. He frequently talks about how his brother, who owns the company he works for, will be gifting him the company one day and he will be a millionaire. And that's all fine and dandy, but right now he's not a millionaire, and I feel he should be more responsible with his money. He occasionally gambles on sports, which I do too. However, I make triple the money that he makes, and I feel like if I only made what he was making, I would definitely never be doing that. I also have made an effort to not gamble in front of him and discourage it in hopes to like make his behavior stop. He frequently borrows money from his brother without telling me, which honestly really bothers me, but I don't know if it's my place to keep saying anything. I told him early on that I don't really mind paying for more things than a standard girlfriend, and I'm definitely not one of those girls who needs to be spoiled. But now when the check comes or when we do anything at all, it's honestly expected that I pay for pretty much everything. But the real nail in the coffin happened when I was getting ready to fly to come and see him a few weeks ago, and he made a comment about how he had no food at his apartment. I mentioned that I would send him a few list of things that I'd like if he could like, I don't know, go to the store and get them before I got there. That way I could just have a few things that I can cook us for dinner. And that's when he mentioned that he wanted to wait for my arrival until we go to the grocery store together, because apparently he can't be buying all that stuff right now and just doesn't have the money. And it's like, my God, what do I do here? He's so sweet to me and he loves me so much, but honestly, I simply can't handle this anymore. Okay, the answer's pretty obvious. Like, in my opinion, it seems like your boyfriend's using you. Like, maybe I'm the outlier here and maybe I'm a jerk, but dude, if you have like no money and you're possibly living like paycheck to paycheck like this guy sounds like he is, then taking part in gambling or any other like extracurricular activities where it costs money that you don't have is probably the worst idea possible. Like, this guy's even so delusional that he's like, oh, one day I'll be a millionaire when my brother gives me the company. But if I was this guy's brother, I would be like, I'm not going to give my brother the company. He's completely irresponsible. He can't even take care of himself. Like, what are we doing here? So truly, if you really did break up with your boyfriend, I would not blame you for a second, dude. You're very clearly describing someone who sounds very lazy and someone who doesn't have any initiative in life. Like, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with like having your girlfriend pay for stuff. But when it literally is all the time and he is seriously not doing anything to better himself, that to me pretty much proves that, yeah, he's a walking red flag and he easily could take care of himself, but instead he's relying on your money to get by, and that is very inappropriate. Am I the jerk after I told my coworker that her opinion about me moving doesn't count since she still lives at home at the age of 30? Because now after she reported me to human resources, I'm kind of getting in trouble. And at this point, I just don't know what to do. Okay, so I'm moving into a well-known apartment complex in my city, and this place isn't the nicest in the world, but it's also not the worst. I was discussing it with a person that sits next to me at work, and another coworker joined in and started talking about how crappy the apartments are at that complex. She referred to the apartments as trashy, saying that she would never live there. She called it ghetto and said that she wouldn't move there even if she was desperate. Now, obviously, this really pissed me off, and this is the part where I might be just a little bit of a jerk. Instead of just telling her that I didn't appreciate her saying that about where I'm going to live, before I could stop myself, I just blurted out, yeah, I'm not really interested in your opinion on my new place, considering you are 30 years old and you live for free in your mom's basement. Which is all true, by the way. Like, I didn't say anything that was a lie, and I didn't say it with like a nasty tone or anything like that. I said it pretty flatly. But I still think I might have come across just a little bit harsh. I honestly like surprised myself by saying it, but I think I was just irritated and surprised that someone that doesn't even support themselves fully would make fun of someone for choosing the living conditions they can afford. After I said it, she turned really bright red and refused to say another word to me. Now it's days later and she's apparently gone to human resources and said I was creating a hostile work environment. So seriously, am I the jerk here? Because I really just don't know what to do here. No, you're not the jerk. This is called getting exactly what you deserve, bro. This is karma working its magic. Like, what in the world was she thinking, dude? First off, there's nothing wrong with living with your parents. I totally understand. Like, if you're in rough times and you're struggling, then like, dude, live with family. It's not a big deal. Like in my family and like where I come from in my culture, it is completely fine to live with family. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is an expectation that you're going to carry your weight. If you're living rent-free in someone's basement and not doing anything to contribute to the house, then yeah, it's time to step up and like, I don't know, start providing. So for her to sit there and be like, wow, you're going to move there? That's crazy. Even if I was desperate, I wouldn't live in that crappy place. And it's like, really? You wouldn't live there? Because I bet you would. I bet you'd be singing a different tune if you were hungry enough and you were desperate enough. Like, people can just like move around and do stuff they might not want to do simply because they have no other choice. Like, they literally have no choice in the matter and they're just desperate. So it's like, okay, I have to live in the crappy apartment complex. I have no choice. So in my opinion, if she's about to like mouth off at your decisions, then congratulations. That means her whole life is up for grabs for you to say pretty much whatever you want. So no, I don't think you're the jerk, and I think your coworker learned a valuable lesson today. My overweight friend is constantly bringing up how fat she is, as she is always trying to compare herself to me, saying that she wants my body and that she hates the way she looks. And even though I've tried to help her start healthy habits, and even like, I don't know, get on the path of losing weight, she still refuses to do anything and just goes right back to complaining. And it's honestly getting to a point where I feel like I'm going crazy and I just don't know what to do anymore. Okay, so a friend of mine is a bit bigger and has always been the entire time I've known her. I've never said anything ever to make herself feel bad about herself, and I always try to lift her up and make her feel confident while also encouraging healthy behavior. I see her almost every day at work, and every single day, multiple times a day, she will complain about how she's fat and wishes she were skinny. I don't say things like, oh, you don't need to lose weight, because she's even told me that she's getting close to like 300 pounds, but instead I try to give her simple advice like, oh, eat more whole foods, and maybe go on walks, because she's genuinely looking for advice. But then like an hour later, she'll eat like cake or something like that, and if we're going somewhere, I'll say something like, hey, why don't we walk to the place we're going? And she'll say, no, that's too far. And it'll be like, what, a 5-minute walk maybe? Listen, I don't want to be rude, but it genuinely starts to make me mad how she complains all the time and doesn't even try to make an effort to lose any weight. I know it's none of my business, like really, but she talks to me about it literally every single day. She often will ask me, how are you so skinny? Which is like, okay, I'm not super thin, but I'm currently at like an average healthy weight. She will also say things like, oh, I wish I had your body. I'm so fat. I wish I looked like you. And it genuinely is starting to make me uncomfortable because of how often she says things like that. At first, the way she complimented me was nice, and honestly, I would thank her and feel good about myself, but now it's starting to feel weird, and I'm a little freaked out with how often she makes comments on my body. Honestly, at this point, I get annoyed when she complains about being overweight. I don't want to be rude because I know it's difficult to lose weight, but with the amount that she complains about it, I just get mad hearing about it. So seriously, what should I do here? Because I honestly am getting frustrated and I don't know what to do. Okay, I think there is a route here where you can be nice about it, but also speak your mind, where maybe you can say like, hey, I really don't like the way you're talking about yourself, because your self-talk is super negative. Like, we really have to switch this around. Because on one hand, this is super annoying. You're so tired of dealing with it that you're really starting to go crazy here, and I completely understand. But on the other hand, what you're saying really might like help her out. Maybe having a better self-talk and like talking nicely about herself and not constantly bringing this discussion up all the time might be the thing that helps her see that, hey, maybe I need to cool it with this. Maybe I just got to start losing weight instead of always talking about losing weight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think maybe trying to shift the narrative in a way where it's like, yes, she stops bothering you about this, but also she starts to speak more positively about her situation. Because holy crap, having to hear about this every single day, like that's enough to make pretty much anybody go crazy. And I know if I was in your shoes, I would really start to hate this. Am I the jerk for not wanting my friend as a bridesmaid? All because she is constantly asking for money. Because after I made this announcement and basically said she's not going to be a part of it, she started to freak out, talk crap about me to the friend group, and essentially say that I'm persecuting her for being poor. And now I really just don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so in college, I was in a friend group of about 5 other people. One of them I don't talk to anymore. 3 of them I asked to be in my wedding as bridesmaids. But this post specifically is about Sarah. And yes, Sarah is a fake name. I have one issue with Sarah, and that is her money habits. She is lovely besides this, but on any typical day, honestly, Sarah is that kind of person that expects other people to foot the bill, and since I make the most out of my friend group, she usually will look at me to cover the cost. Sarah is also the main pusher of this. If I ever bring it up and like talk to her about it, she claims that I'm looking down on her for being poor, and that it isn't her fault that teachers don't make much money. And this isn't an isolated incident. Like literally, this has happened over and over again. If I say no, she basically has a tantrum in my eyes, and suddenly I get called out for being selfish. It's super annoying, and my other friend has also like gotten annoyed with it. And so with all that in mind, I basically decided that I didn't want her as a bridesmaid. I don't want to deal with her whining about money or have to spend my money just to cover her cost. Now, I tried to call her to tell her why she wasn't going to be a bridesmaid before I told the other 3 girls. I did it this way because I knew it would be a shock, and I didn't want her to learn from someone else. Well, even though I reached out, she never got back to me, and I tried to call her like 3 times. So this weekend, I asked the other women, and they said yes. Well, eventually, one of them posted online saying how excited they were, and that's when I finally got a call from Sarah. I then explained why as nicely as I could, and we eventually got into a huge argument. She seriously claims that I'm punishing her for being poor, but I told her that her money issue is the main reason. She's now crap-talking me to the friend group, and at the moment, I'm honestly at a loss for this, and I seriously just don't know what to do. Okay, first off, you're not a jerk for not inviting this person. Like, in my opinion, it has nothing to do with money. But instead, this has everything to do with Sarah. She is not a good person. Like, let me just say that first and foremost. And the evidence of that just literally could not be any more clear. Like, seriously, the way she's acting is super sketchy. Any friend who's coming to you and being like, wow, you want me to pay you back for dinner? You're persecuting me because I'm a poor teacher. This is about me being poor, isn't it? But it's like, no, this is about you taking advantage of me every stop of the way. You know for a fact, original poster, that if she was in your bridal party, she would be asking you to foot the bill for anything that you would expect from her. From the shoes to makeup to the dress. Literally, this lady's not going to pay for a dime of it. She's going to use you like crazy, just like she did in college, and just like she's doing right now. Like, that is so annoying in my opinion, and there's no excuse. And also, like, are we really surprised with the way she's acting? She's seriously being like, wow, I'm being persecuted because of my money. And it's like, aren't you tired of wearing that hat? Like, that's an old, worn out hat. What are we doing right now? You're really jumping back on that bandwagon as if it holds any weight. Like, in my opinion, if someone's really talking crap about me, that's when I'm gonna fire back with receipts, bro. I'm absolutely gonna be like, oh, okay, well, here's all the times I've paid for you in the past. Like, this lady's out of her mind if she thinks she's somehow like in the right. And hey, I don't know about you, but personally, I would not want to associate with anyone like this. I understand that you're like a core group of friends, but seriously, you can fade this person out of your life. Like, for me, I would have done that a long time ago, but obviously your situation is way more nuanced than you're letting on, sure. But with all that in mind, you're not the jerk for not inviting her. She doesn't sound like a friend at all. She sounds like someone who uses other people for money, and that is not the mark of a friend. Like, that is literally the mark of someone who does not care about you and only cares about what's in your wallet. Today, I'm considering calling off my wedding with my fiancé after he literally tried to force me to commit fraud. Because now, as a result, I feel completely confused and I feel so pressured to stay with him, even though the way he's acting is kind of a giant red flag. Because right now, I don't know what to do. Welcome back to Am I the Jerk? Dude, I don't even know how to describe this first story because it is crazy. Seriously, the original poster is like knee deep in something that they don't want to be a part of. Their fiancé has suddenly become this hostile, aggressive man who's like trying to get her to commit fraud just so they can get paid out for a car accident. It's some crazy stuff, bro. So if you haven't already, subscribe to Am I the Jerk, have a seat, relax, because this is going to be a good one. Let's get started. Okay, so my fiance and I have our wedding planned for next year, but we have had a very big fight the other day, which I find to be a huge red flag. However, I know that no relationship is perfect, so I'm not sure if I should call the wedding off or not. My fiance and I were in a minor car accident about 6 months ago. Neither of us were injured from it, but I remember him specifically saying, "Oh boy, now we get a nice payout." I didn't really know what that meant at the time, and I thought it was just lawyer talk as he's studying law and he comes from a family of lawyers. After a few weeks though, he told me that I need to go to a doctor to complain about neck pain and then get them to document it so I can get money from insurance. Even though for reference, I've had neck pain for years, but it definitely wasn't from the car accident. I then told him I wasn't comfortable doing that. And when I said that, he got really mad. He then said to me, "Why? Do you think you're better than everyone? Everyone does this stuff. It's not a big deal. Just go to the doctor and get them to document your injury from the accident. You do have neck pain. You aren't lying." Now, because I just couldn't be bothered with him, I told him, okay, I'll do it. He then said he'll come with me to the appointment to help me know what to say and that I don't have to worry about anything. So fast forward and we're about to leave for my appointment when he tells me that he has to go to the toilet. I then let out a sigh because he always has to go to the toilet before we leave somewhere and it always makes us late. He then noticed my sigh and got angry with me and said, "Oh, really? Go by yourself then. Take the car keys and go by yourself." Now, I didn't react and I just went and took the car keys and I went to leave. But as I was going to leave, he was blocking the door so I couldn't get out. I asked him to move and he simply wouldn't let me leave. So fast forward and we eventually went to the appointment together. When he got out of the car, he walked so far ahead of me, I lost sight of him, which made me feel so alone and terrible. We then went through with the appointment and afterwards he started berating me in public, saying I never listened to him. I did the whole appointment wrong. I then calmly told him that he knows I don't know what to do. And he told me that he would help me during the appointment, which guess what? He didn't do that. But he kept scolding me and said, "Don't you dare give me those eyes," which I thought was crazy because I definitely was not giving him any eyes. In fact, in that moment, I was actually scared of him. And honestly, I didn't know what to say anymore. I just felt myself freeze and I simply walked away. I just kept walking and walking and walking, and he followed me in his car and told me to get in. I then told him that I have the house keys, don't worry about me, I just need some space. But he parked the car and literally ran after me saying, "Why are you so embarrassing?" And at this point I cried and I just told him to leave me alone. Thankfully he did and he eventually went home. I went home after a while too and I quietly packed my bags and I stayed at my parents' house for a few days. And I now feel like for the first time I don't want to be with him anymore. But maybe I'm just emotional. I mean, everyone will be so disappointed if I cancel my wedding. Plus we've put a lot of work into it. It's just so embarrassing too. So seriously, should I stick with him or is this really the final straw like it feels like? Because I don't know what to do anymore. Oh my god, dude, anyone else read this and have like the hair on the back of their neck raise up? Oh my god. To the original poster, your fiance sounds like a psychopath. First of all, yeah, you should not marry him. Can you imagine being married to that? Stuck in the same house as this guy, having kids with this guy? Like, dude, he sounds unhinged. Seriously, this guy's trying to get you to commit like insurance fraud. He's trying to get you to lie to the doctor by being like, "Oh yeah, my neck pain, it's from the car accident." Even though you know it's not the truth. Like, this guy's trying to get you to commit fraud. And don't even get me me started with the way he's acting around you, literally stopping you from leaving the house, saying he's gonna go with you to the appointment to basically make you say what he wants you to say, and then following you in his car and like physically stopping you when you don't do exactly what he wants. Like, this guy is one giant walking red flag. I'm serious. So in my opinion, to the original poster, holy crap, I would never get married to this person. This is absolutely a breaking point. Like, this is the line in the sand that you can either cross it and be miserable, or you can give in to this weird anxiety you've placed on yourself of saying like, oh, I mean, everyone's expecting us to get married, so I guess I have to. But it's like, dude, what are you talking about? You don't have to do that. This is not some forced arranged marriage where you have like no say in the matter. Like, holy crap, are we in like colonial America? What are we doing? Pretty sure this isn't Game of Thrones either. Like, bro, you can absolutely back out of this at any time. And if someone asks you and says, oh man, we were really excited about it, you can literally look at them and say, yeah, he tried to make me commit fraud. That's why I dumped him. I'm not marrying that. Like, you don't have to help him save face. Like, this is some weird behavior, dude. So no, you're not the jerk. You didn't do anything wrong. And if I was in your shoes, I would dump him and never look back, because this is some creepy behavior you hear about in like a Netflix documentary. And if you're not careful, you can find yourself in the middle of that. If you like Am I the Jerk and what we're doing over here, please check out Am I the Genius. It's going to be linked down below in the description. Just click and go ahead and subscribe to them. And also, if you have your own stories you want to submit, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you want to submit your own stories. We're reading them all the time and we're picking out the best ones, so trust me, we would love to hear what you have to say. Am I the jerk for not driving my friends to the lake after they refused to chip in for gas? Because after being taken advantage of for years and always being the person that drives them everywhere, I finally decided to put my foot down and demand some change, resulting in pretty much everybody being pissed off at me and saying that I ruined the weekend. Here's what's happening. I want to start off by saying that it's just how things have worked out in my friend group over the past few years, where I've basically almost always been the one driving everybody around. We're talking to barbecues, to summer cottages, or trips out of town and so on. Like, I hardly drink, plus I'm the only one with a car. So it just sort of became the norm that whenever we needed to go somewhere, everyone just looked at me. It didn't really bother me before. Like, I had a decent, stable job, I had money, and gas wasn't really an issue. Sometimes someone would like transfer the money later, sometimes they'd forget altogether, but I didn't really keep track of it. Well, a couple of months ago, I got laid off, and now I'm working somewhere else, but the pay is way lower, and the money has become really tight. After paying rent and bills, I had very little left until payday, and I just couldn't afford a full tank of gas. I also told my friends about this ahead of time without really making a big deal out of it. Recently, they suggested going on an overnight trip to the lake. About 6 or 7 of us in total. We're gonna grill some meat, we're gonna have some tents, like the whole shebang. And right away, they started discussing what time I'd be picking them up. The rest either didn't have a car or a driver's license in the first place, or they just planned to drink and didn't want to stay sober. Now, I calmly said that I could give them a ride, but only if everybody chipped in for gas up front, because I simply just don't have the money to even fill it up properly. And when I requested this, everybody agreed. The day before the trip, I messaged the group chat to remind them that I needed the money right away. Otherwise, I just wouldn't be able to leave. And in response, I got the whole usual, oh, don't worry about it, we'll pay you back later. And like, oh yeah, we're not gonna let you down. That whole song and dance started right up. But I wrote again that I literally wasn't going anywhere without the money. But no one responded seriously except for a couple of jokes, so I figured they had found another option. Well, in the end, I just didn't go anywhere that morning. And then suddenly, everyone started freaking out. They wrote to me that I'd ruined their weekend because they had already bought food and were counting on me. Someone even said that I became greedy and money grubbing after getting fired. But I really don't understand what I was supposed to do here. I literally didn't even have enough money to fill up my car. So am I the jerk here? Like, seriously, because I just don't know what to do and I don't know how to handle this situation. Okay, in my opinion, I don't think you're the jerk for asking for money, but I do think you're a complete fool for trusting these people. They've clearly been taking advantage of your like driving situation and your money situation for years. Like, these people are not reliable. They're not good friends where they're gonna like pay you back, and they literally just, for the most part, don't care about you. You're nothing more than a taxi or a chauffeur, and that's obnoxious. Like, that really is unfair for you. And I wish you had picked up on that before saying, hey, let's go on like a camping trip, because holy crap, dude, this would have saved you so much trouble. Also, if you really don't have enough money to fill up your gas tank, then going on a trip with your friends is the last thing you should be doing. You should have said to all of them, hey guys, I'm really tight for money, I can't make the trip this time. But please, don't wait for me, like, have a good time, go do your thing, like, don't let me hold you back. Like, if I was really struggling to make ends meet, that's what I would do. I wouldn't go on this trip and be like, guys, I really need you to pay me back, because you're putting your trust in the wrong people, dude. Like, these people don't care. They're literally making jokes about you asking a serious question, where you're like, dude, I need the money, and they're like, yeah, don't worry about it, bro, we're gonna take care of you. It's like, of course nobody's responding seriously. These people have never been serious about anything anything. So no, you're not the jerk, but I think it was foolish to go in the first place. And if these people really cared about you, and I mean like actually understood where you're coming from, they would have happily sent you some money beforehand just to cover the cost. But the fact that they didn't and didn't even take this seriously, in my opinion, speaks volumes to exactly the kind of people they are. Am I the jerk for wanting my boyfriend to start paying rent and paying for groceries and other like utility bills after it's basically become a thing where he stays here 6 nights out of the week? Because after I talked to him about this and said that he needs to start like paying his portion of things, he kind of flipped the script on me and said that I'm not being romantic anymore, and that if he did that, it would feel way more transactional than he would want, putting me in a situation where I'm just super annoyed and I just don't know what to do. Okay, so I've been dating my boyfriend for around a year and about 4 months in total. We don't officially live together, but honestly, he's in my apartment almost every single day now. He sleeps here maybe 5 to 6 nights every week. He showers here, he eats here, he brings his gaming setup here sometimes. He even has his work clothes with him sometimes in the closet. Now, at first, I didn't really care because I love him and I wanted him around. But lately, it's starting to make me feel really stressed out because my bills just got way higher. We're talking electricity, water, food, literally everything. Also, I live alone and my apartment is small, so I immediately noticed. The problem is that whenever I try to talk about money, he gets weird and really defensive. Last week, for example, I asked if maybe he can help with like a little bit of rent or bills since he stays here way more than his own place now, and I try to say it very calmly. But when I did this, he got quiet at first, then started saying, relationships should not feel transactional, and that if he now starts paying, that it's not romantic anymore. What confused me though is that he actually makes more money than me. Not like crazy rich, but still more sustainable for sure. He buys expensive shoes and spends money on games and eating outside with friends. So it's not like he's struggling at all. Then yesterday, something happened that made me more upset. I came home from work and I saw that he had invited 3 friends over to my apartment without asking me first. They were drinking beer, using my TV, and ordered food with my account because he forgot his wallet. And honestly, I got angry. And after his friends left, we argued really badly. He told me that I'm acting like a landlord instead of a girlfriend. But I asked him, okay, then why does he act like my apartment is a free hotel? After it was all said and done, he's now barely talking to me and saying that I embarrassed him. Now, my older sister says that I already let this go too far, and now he feels entitled to my place. But one of my other friends says that maybe he just got comfortable and I should have made like clearer boundaries earlier. So, how do people usually handle this when one partner slowly starts living at the other's apartment? Is asking for rent or bills normal in this situation? And how do I bring it up without making the relationship feel like a business deal? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, from the sounds of it, it really seems like your boyfriend wants to be both homeless and in a relationship, despite the fact that he's making a crap ton of money. And this is all literally at your expense, by the way. You're the one footing the bill for like electricity and water and groceries. Meanwhile, this guy gets to like have an apartment that's empty where he's paying practically nothing. And I love the fact that this guy's like, oh, come on, if I have to pay for stuff, then it's not really romantic anymore. But it's like, what's romantic about me paying for literally everything? You think that's romantic? No, it's annoying, bro. I literally have higher bills because you refuse to pitch in. Like, you know what's the most romantic thing you could do right now? Give me some money for rent. Oh my God, I would love you forever, dude. Like, what's going on right now? This guy's an idiot. He's seriously trying to sit there and be like, I'm sorry, but I don't want to be in a relationship that's transactional. But if I was in the girl's shoes, I would have been like, yeah, well, I don't want a homeless boyfriend because right now you're acting like a hobo and I don't like this. Like, this is annoying. And it's even more annoying because this guy makes more money than you, dude. He's absolutely able to take care of himself and pay just a little bit towards your apartment, especially when he's practically living there. Like, this is really not that big of an ask. So no, you're not the jerk. This honestly is stupid and your boyfriend is taking advantage of you. And I think having this conversation and really setting some firm boundaries right now would be way better than waiting for any of this to blow over. Because unfortunately, if there's going to be any changes in this dynamic, it has to come from you. Like, your boyfriend's just not reliable. Am I the jerk for telling my mom that I'll never trust her ever again after she ruined a concert I'd waited 8 years to go to? Because now that it's all said and done, I am completely devastated and I don't know what to do. Okay, I have not spoken to my mom for like 2 weeks because of what happened at a concert that meant everything to me. And now, despite everything, she's acting like I'm the problem. For a bit of context, there's an artist that I've loved for 8 years. I was supposed to see them back in 2020, but obviously the tour got canceled. And ever since then, seeing this artist live became one of my biggest dreams. I finally had the money this year and I worked extra shifts for months to afford the tickets. I bought the tickets for both nights of the show because this wasn't just some concert to me. This was something 16-year-old me dreamed about. out. The second I secured the tickets back in February or like January, I cried. I planned everything. I got outfits, I did my nails, I dyed my hair. I even started going harder at the gym because I wanted to feel good and confident for the experience. I was genuinely so excited. Well, my mom immediately started telling me that buying tickets for both nights was too much and that I should have saved my money. She kept insisting that I should sell my second day ticket because according to her, oh, I know a guy who knows a guy that could get you in for free and even apparently get me onto the floor itself. Now, for just a bit of background, this did work once before at another concert last year, but that concert had a free pit and was way less organized. This newer concert was extremely strict and organized, which I kept trying to explain to her. For months though, she kept pressuring me to give up my actual ticket because if I didn't accept the offer according to her, then it would look like we didn't trust the guy anymore. But I kept saying no because honestly, I didn't want to depend on someone else. I worked hard for those tickets and I wanted the experience I planned for myself. Well, fast forward and the first night of the concert was honestly one of the most happiest moments of my life. It was everything I imagined and then some. The next morning after getting home at like 2 o'clock in the morning, my mom called me saying that if I got there early enough, the guy could get us onto the floor. He could feed us for free and pay us because they were short-staffed at concession stands. Now, my sister, my girlfriend, and my sister's boyfriend all thought that I should give it a shot. And looking back, I wish I had trusted my gut and said no. Instead, my entire schedule got ruined. I barely had time to shower, I couldn't do my makeup the way I wanted, I skipped breakfast, and I was also trying to finish my final assignments for school before the concert. Well, we got there and immediately I got put to work selling food for 8 hours. I literally missed half the concert because they wouldn't let me leave until like the inventory and the counting was done. I was on my feet all day. I was stressed out, I was exhausted, I was hungry, and you know what? I ended up getting paid literally $3 in tips. Plus, I had only eaten one hot dog the entire day. The experience I dreamed about for years basically turned into unpaid labor, where I missed the concert I had already had real tickets for. I then texted my mom afterwards and I told her I would never trust her again because I felt pressured into giving up the experience I had worked and planned so hard for. Well, she just read the messages and ignored me, and now she's been refusing to speak to me for 2 weeks. And recently my sister posted concert videos online and my mom commented by saying, well, I would have had you get closer, but I did the best I could. And that comment in and of itself honestly made me furious because I never asked her to do anything. I already had tickets, like I had good tickets. I was happy and I really felt like she ruined my experience trying to make it better. And now she thinks I owe her an apology because she had good intentions and not the other way around. So seriously, what do I do here? Because I'm still pissed off at this and I don't know what to do. Okay, dude, I just want to say first and foremost, I am so sorry this happened. This really sucks and this is completely unfortunate because bro, I get it. There's some artists out there that if I saw them, it would feel like a life-changing experience. And you felt the same way with this person, dude. You've waited a long time to see them, dude. Like you've spent the past 8 years pining to be at this concert because this is going to be like a monumental moment for you. But instead of being allowed to enjoy that, your stupid mom steps in and says, here, let me try and make things worse for you. Because my God, this is not the way you wanted to do it, man. Instead of just enjoying the concert, you were put to work like some kind of employee. Like you didn't want that. You wanted to enjoy the concert. You wanted to focus on that and nothing else. So if anything, this kind of confirms that, yeah, you should never trust your mom ever again. She doesn't have your best interest in mind. In fact, she's going to make it worse if anything, because this should be like burning proof that, yeah, she can't be trusted and you should probably take anything she says with just a little bit of hesitation. Am I the jerk for refusing to pay to change the memorial bench plaque that my mom had made for my late dad that essentially calls him an adulterer after we found out he was cheating on her for a long time? Because now the whole family is saying that we're disrespecting his memory, with even my late father's mistress reaching out in tears saying that I need to do something about this, which seriously has put me in a pickle because right now I don't know what the right move is and I just don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. Okay, so this is a bit of a complicated one, but just hear me out. My dad died about 3 months ago. He had a heart attack at his desk. It was very sudden and he was only 58 years old. My mom and him had been married for about 30 years, and right up to the end, it looked like a normal marriage from the outside looking in. In the year before he died, though, he had been having an affair with a colleague at his firm who was a married woman a fair bit younger than him. It was also serious enough that he had told my mom that he was leaving, they had a house picked out in another country, and that the woman was pregnant with his child. Like the whole plan was for him to be gone by Christmas. Well, he had already moved out and was living with her when he died. They were partway through sorting the divorce on paper, but legally, my parents were still very much married, and my mom was the next of kin who had to organize everything when he passed away. Now, my mom took most of the funeral planning on herself herself, which is honestly the most active I've ever seen her. She handled the service, the venue, the obituary, I mean pretty much everything. She also decided to donate a memorial bench in his name to the park near our house where he used to walk every weekend. Now for reference, I'm 28 years old, I work in tech, I came home for the funeral, and I stayed to help her with the estate. I had no idea what she had put on the plaque until I went down to the park about 3 weeks after the burial. The plaque reads, and I'm not kidding, word for word, "In loving memory of Dad, devoted son, husband, father, and adulterer." And this had already been installed, already on the bench, and already photographed by joggers who put this on a Facebook page. My dad's family found out within about a week of the page going up, and his sister was on the phone with me for about 40 minutes screaming about it. His mom sent me a message saying that it was disgraceful and disrespectful to his memory. Then the affair partner called me, somehow having got my number, just completely in tears, saying her baby was going to grow up knowing his father by a bench that calls him an adulterer at the local park. Well, they all want me to have a new plaque made. The council has confirmed that my mom can authorize the change, but the new plaque costs around $300, and she has flatly refused to pay for it because, in her words, none of it is wrong. I'm now in the middle of all of it because I'm the one who lives close enough to deal with it, and apparently I'm the one with a disposable income. But honestly, I think the bench is accurate. He was a son and a husband and a father, and also, guess what, an adulterer. My mom is being petty, like sure, but she isn't being inaccurate. I then just straight up told his family that I would not be paying for a new one and that they should just take it up with mom directly. So with all that in mind, am I really the jerk here? Am I the jerk for not taking more of a stance on this? Because I don't know what to do. Dude, you are not the jerk. If I found out that my dad was cheating on my mom before he passed away and had another family basically, like I would be pissed. I would be inconsolable and full of so much rage. Like I'm not even kidding right now. There's nothing that would stop me from being like, oh no, we're keeping that plaque. Like this is the biggest betrayal you could have possibly thrown at me. And yes, I totally understand like he's dead, he's not alive anymore. And sure, he was your dad, but holy crap did he betray the entire family. Like this is unacceptable behavior. In fact, this is grounds to cut him out of your life entirely, pretty much forever. So if anyone came to me and said, you need to change that plaque, you're disrespecting his memory, I would probably have the same reaction where I'm like, no, I'm not going to get involved. This is insane. Which also begs the question, like, why are they dragging you into it? Why not talk to the mom directly and be like, hey, you need to change this. Here's the money to change it. You do it. Which is another thing. Like, dude, why are they not paying for it? Why are they looking at you and being like, you're the only one among us who has $300? It's like, no, I'm not. What are we talking about? If you don't want your son being known as an adulterer, then maybe he shouldn't have done it. Like, it's not my fault that he decided to betray the entire family. And sure, just to like dispel the argument of like, oh, everybody makes mistakes. But like, bro, this was not a mistake. This was like an organized effort to ruin everything. Like, dude, he was sleeping with this lady probably so much and like nobody knew about it. So truly, there is no reason for you to be stuck in the middle of all of this. There's no reason for you to be like forced to talk to your mom and be like, oh, please remove the plaque. Because I know if I was in your shoes, I would feel the same way. I'd be like, dude, I'm not getting involved. My dad betrayed me. And if you really don't like it, talk to mom directly. I have nothing to do with it. Which in my opinion is the correct stance to take. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk today, and don't forget, please check out Am I the Genius as well. Everything will be linked down below in the description. Thank you so much, and we will see you in the next video.